All right. Oh no, I'm in the wrong clothes. I will fix that. And this is too loud. Hello. I don't know why Tuesday stream is weird for you now, but it is now, even though I streamed on Tuesdays before. Um, I'm glad you like it, Anima. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I really do like it. I do look particularly dapper, but this particular type of dapper is only for Ace Attorney. And that is how we must keep it. It's a special type of dapper. Hello, PCM. Welcome. We have a bit of a different thing going on today because we did not. Oh, hello, microwave. It's not morning. Don't tell me you just woke up. I was saying things and now I'm distracted. Oh, I have lost my train of thought. You didn't? Okay, good. I do worry. I worry. Um, yeah, a little different today. Oh, hello, Dorky David. Welcome. Being our resident YouTube watcher. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah, today we have a bit of different things. We're talking about armor and stuff, but we're also going to be talking about, we didn't play Pathfinder this past Saturday. So, we don't have a story to tell about that. But instead, Mars and I will indeed we'll be talking about our characters' backstories, which is something that I usually don't make. And honestly, it is something where it's like, I'm glad that I started playing the character first, and then I'm making a backstory about it. So that's pretty fun. But yeah, mine's definitely not tragic like yours, PCM. I'm not a tragic character. But yeah, Anima, I can't believe that it is less than a week until the comic launches. I am going to promote that a little bit in this stream, even though it's not a comic stream, because I need it. You can go to any one of these links and you can, follow it or the other word, subscribe, whatever, so that you do make sure you get updated when it launches a week from yesterday. Oh, your story list too, PCM? You didn't play? You guys played? I watched you guys play. You're telling me that you got no info out of that one? Nothing happened? Nothing didn't happen. Come on. I have too many frickin' panels and stuff open. Aw, so sad. Is your monitor fixed? What was the problem? What was the issues? Anima, when does your campaign start with Aria? Because Aria was talking about that in Discord the other day. I'm curious when your campaign starts happening. Oh, so it's like dead. Ooh, that's rough. That's really rough. Oh, I'm so sorry, PCM. Oh, thank you, Anima. Yeah, we want to get everybody in, everybody going, because on Monday, next week, so a week from yesterday, on Monday, the comic launches at noon, Eastern Standard Time. So very excited about that. I see. I saw briefly that you did like some shopping and stuff. So, that was the main bit I saw. Okay. I'm trying to look for something that I did, but apparently I can't find it. Oh, session 0, very nice. What did everybody already have, like, characters and stuff, or that's what you did during session 0? I do, yeah, PCM. Now I know what all of you sound like. Audio and, maniacal and everything like that. So that's really fun because because okay. Why is this not where I want it to be? Open file location. Okay. Kind of weird. I haven't played in a month, Dorky David. I'm so sorry for you. That's very sad. Dylan was dying because we had to miss last week. He was already upset, so I cannot imagine not playing for a month. I think he would literally implode. I'm sorry, Anima. Didn't have sheets? Okay, so you did like stats and stuff, because I think you said most people are new. Yeah, always PCM, always up for that sort of thing. Yeah, we do have a lot of, we haven't heard a lot from, Polaroid and Andromeda. You haven't heard a lot of them. Now I'm trying to find this thing, but I can't for some reason. And I don't know why. I'm gonna have to go back here. You're gonna type in cloud again. Oh my goodness, PCM. What? All your warlock levels? You need those. I don't like that. That's not fun. You and the cliffhangers, PCM. Your DMs love to give you cliffhangers. I see. You know, but you don't know. That's the whole thing, right? I am, here we are. Fine, nope, this is just double of those. But at very least I have these. And this is what I wanted. Now let me open file location. Where are you? Oh, it's in post haste. Okay, interesting. I think it's these two. That'll work out. Oh my goodness, PCM. Jeez. Y'all doing crazy stuff over there. I don't even know. Ah, you make us suffer, hmm? Oh, you're gonna do a one-shot anima to help ease everybody in? That's nice. Yeah, you want to definitely practice combat, especially for those who haven't played like spellcasters before, because that's a lot of information. Okay, I see. All right, PCM. Okay, all right. Ah, that's rough, Turkey David. Thankfully, knock on wood, our group is pretty good about scheduling. There's a couple times when it's like, it's funny. 3 of us will do anything to have D&D almost anything. And then 2 other people, you know, have friends outside of the table, so it's like they have other things to do. Oh my god. Well, you should have them talk to PCM Anima. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Oh, you have another campaign, PCM? Is Deadclaw as traumatic as everybody else? Okay, you know, we'll give it a lighthearted day. Yeah, Anima's You love him? Oh, this will be a twist. This will be a twist, PCMs. Well, go eat up. Go get your strength for that so we can know. They did say backstory once. I'm doing too many things. My brain is all over the place right now. I don't know why, but it is. But yes. Yeah, that's rough, Anima. Sometimes you just gotta tell them to, like, dial it back, you know? Taking it too far. Is it too far and there's, like, a lot of things that are being, like, adding to the trauma? Like, there's a lot of different traumatic things? Or is it, like, one really traumatic thing? Because it's like, I would say that if PCM's character, Neffy's backstory, right? She has one, well, she's kind of two, but one main traumatic event, which is the her powers of being an ASMR, burning everybody alive, but then she has kind of like she was like ostracized. Oh, a bunch of different ones. Yeah, that you might have to say, like, let's narrow it down, right? I don't know if you're friends with that person, in real, like, outside of D&D, or if you're just, them for somewhere else or something, but I think either way, you gotta be like, hey, especially if it's their first time, which it sounds like it, you gotta, like, tone it back, right? This is a lot of stuff going on. It's not gonna be fulfilled, you gotta tell them very much like, because the big downfall with a lot of, like, new characters, right, is the fact, well, new players, is the fact that they don't realize what works and what doesn't work when it comes to, like, TTRPG. Because what happens is that a good example of something that I had when I was newer to the game is that I really wanted to play this character that was kind of like Bones from Star Trek, right? He was kind of like Bones, but he was definitely quieter, right? Like he was short. He didn't really talk a lot. I didn't find that particularly fun because TTRPG is a lot of talking, right? The more you talk, the more fun you have. And so it's like, sometimes they just don't realize that it's not going to be fun. It got worse. Oh my god. Can you ask them, like, why they want it to be sort of traumatic? Like what is the end goal from all that, right? Like, I think that's the main crux. You know what I'm saying? If it's like, want a traumatic backstory because they want them thrown out and to have all these, like, flaws, right? Well, you don't have to have a lot of things to give you all those flaws. It could be one thing that gives you a ton of flaws, right? Like, I would say it can be very easy for a character to have, like, a ton of different flaws, but really they only have, like, one or two really traumatic things, or, like, a general traumatic thing, right? Like, maybe they were just orphaned and they grew up with wolves. Like, that would be a lot of stuff that they could have going on from that one thing, right? Like, they could be, maybe extra violent or maybe all this sort of stuff. They genuinely just want you to write it. Well, whether or not you want to do that, Anima, you can suggest. So, I guess the question there is if they want you to just write it, the question is, do they actually want a backstory? And this thing that I'm saying about that is that I, as a person, am not a big backstory person. And in the sense of that, I don't particularly like writing backstories right out of thin air, like a lot into it. I usually sort of have maybe a very vague idea, but honestly, the motivations and the character sort of comes to me later, right? In the sense of, like, I like picking out in D&D, they have all those, like, the flaws and the bonds and the ideals and all that sort of stuff. Like, that I find personally as a very nice jumping off point. And then after I make that from that character, I can sort of play them a little bit to be like, okay, what kind of person is this character? And then once I get the character, I write the backstory. And that's what I really like. And you can kind of see it. It might be interesting to see sort of Mars's character's backstory versus my character's backstory, because I didn't write Lycoria's backstory until literally today, right? I had maybe like one or two ideas Exactly, Dorky David. And that's why I'm saying it might be better for them to just make a character and figure out backstory later. And I think this is much more common than people think about. Mm, yeah, that's a thing that can kind of shake people, right? Like certain DMs really push the tieflings are like different and weird, but obviously other ones don't, right? And I like tieflings so much, so to me they're not different and weird. Um, they could go that route in like a maybe they were born or adopted or left on the doorstep of like a non like a very secluded society or tiefling thing. Um, and you can just have it that be that yeah they were ostracized, right? And you don't have to go into like the specifics of like what happened to them or how they happened to them, but like maybe they were always at the orphanage, like, or they were just kind of a street rat, right? They never really had a family. They were just sort of left to the town and they sort of just scavenged within the town. And so when they were finally old enough and capable enough to leave, they left. So then that has one overarching sort of generalized traumatic thing. That's what lets them go on their hero's journey is they want to get out of this town and be somewhere different because obviously there has to be someone else like me. But I also think that maybe don't do a backstory right off the bat. Have the player pick the flaws, the ideals, the bonds, you know, whether that be from the backstory that they chose for the character creation bit or from something else. And then you can figure out the backstory later. All right. So then afterwards, after they sort of get for how they want to play their character, how they feel their character, that's what they can do because I think that's the whole thing. I would just tell them that, Anima. I would just tell them that. Thank you for the follow, Scarecrow. But I would just tell them that. I would just say that, like, this doesn't make sense, right? Like, tell them that those things have to change if that's sort of how they want. That's what my character right now is, um, Durkee David. Uh, honestly, I'm trying to think of a character that I have that is like traumatic because so many of my characters don't have like concrete backstories, right? So what I'm, definitely favorite character of mine is Kazoo. He's my first bard ever. His backstory is he was like son of a single mother. They're changelings. Mother was always like keep to yourself, like don't change in front of people, don't do whatever. He grew up, he saw like a street, like a busker, right? Like playing music and getting coins. And he was like, I can do that. I like to play music. I want to do this. And so then that's what he ended up being. But he didn't get a lot of money from that. Not because he wasn't good, but because people just, you don't make a lot of money from that. He needed more. So he ended up trying to be a mercenary. And he was solidly bad at that. However, he was picked up by the group, and that's where the campaign starts, right? So he was so bad at it that he got trapped by spiders in a dungeon, and then the rest of the party saves him, and he tags along with them. And then he ends up throughout the story being the leader of this mercenary group, which was a very bad position for him to be in, but he was too stubborn to not let him be. But that's all his backstory is, right? It's like a call to how he got there. I played another bard for a micro campaign. His name was Za, and he had no backstory whatsoever. Literally nothing. Not a mote written. It was here you are, this is what you're doing, and you're on this job. And I came up with his like personality throughout playing the 3 sessions of the campaign. And again, one of my favorite campaigns. It was so fun. Yeah, that's also a thing. They could be projecting in a way, or you could just be attached, right? Like I don't know. As someone who makes a lot of original characters, I mean, look at the comic. Um, I don't particularly fully relate to any of the characters all in one, but it is just like they're my boys, right? Like they're my babies. You know, Kazoo is just like I love him. I love, you know, bringing him into existence, right? So it is just sort of you can get attached. Certain people get attached. I get very attached. Ooh. I would see if you can try and convince him to not really have a backstory, right? Like a vague one, maybe. Like, you know, you could do it very simple. They were ostracized from their village. But yeah, it definitely doesn't make sense for them to be a tiefling in a tiefling village. That's just sort of how it goes, unfortunately. But not much you can do about that. Not so much you can do about that at all. Uh, yeah, I think you really just gotta crack down, and if they want to leave their backstory to you, I had a player leave. So when I was a DM for the very first time, I had played like 1, 2 sessions, maybe 3 sessions of D&D by this point as a player, with everybody else being new at the time, because this was like the first big height of like Critical Role starting to make everybody want to play D&D. And so everybody else was new. I was then the DM for the first time ever, and everybody made characters for the first time ever. Now, a lot of them, you know, some people are into like writing stuff, right? So they have all these backstories and everything. So most people had some sort of backstory. However, there's one player, he's like me, he's definitely not into that sort of thing. So he said, hey, you know, if I need one, just write it for me. I wrote I took his like ideals, his flaws, his bonds, that sort of thing. I wrote maybe like 4 sentences of backstory that just allowed me to give some sort of intro statement as to why everybody met up in the town that they were that started the story. And it was just like, yeah, he was probably one of the favorite characters during that entire campaign. So it was like, very much, you don't need to have a big backstory to do it. Being raised. Interesting, okay. I see. Okay, so very, very magpie vibes. Interesting. Okay, how do we treat someone who really wants it to be more escapism than a hobby? Um, I really gotta say, I would push to just say, hey, these are your flaws and ideals, right? Just go from there and play a character. And then if sort of the backstory comes, you know, have the backstory happen organically, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of backstory players won't even know about, right? Other players won't even know about. It is something that's for the DM to be able to use if they want to specifically drive points home to that character. As you can see, I did that a fair amount in my long campaign that we had finished before this one, because it was a very long campaign, so I had the ability to sort of bring in everybody's backstory into that. And people think that's fun, of course, but if that's not one, your plans to have that sort of work out that way, and two, not sort of like the vibe of the whole campaign, I think the way to do it is all right, I'll look at that in a second. But I think the way to do it is have it sort of come organically, right? Because a backstory, you're not going to read, at least in my experience, you don't introduce yourselves with reading your character's backstory, right? Whether or not other players read the backstory is sort of a thing that may or may not happen in their own time, but a lot of characters in the game won't actually know the backstory of the other characters that are being played, unless it was specifically like a thing where they're like brother and sister or something, like Vax and Vox, Vax and Vex from Critical Role. So you could have it be that it comes organically, right? it comes organically where something happens and a character and, you know, this person's tiefling acts a certain way, and then some other player's character is like, oh, like, why did you do that? Like, I don't really. And then they sort of off the cuff talk about why. Could be that. And then you can use that information later. This sort of thing. I know that Mars's first character, um, I know Mars's first character was a, Mars's first, not first character, Mars's last character that she played in the campaign that I DM'd was a, was probably the first one that she didn't write like a whole big backstory out off the first. She really didn't know. By time we get through it, she had written, she had written into sort of like, she's sort of written through it, right? And like come up with ideas after playing the character. That means you played a lot of ttrpg, Dorky David, so lucky you. I haven't played that many, but I think it also might be because I like to draw all the characters that I've like drawn. I remember very well. So an example is like before Kazoo, I played, I believe it was 2 other characters that I'm pretty sure were both rogues. I don't remember anything about them. One of them, both of those things, I remember the campaign slightly better, but still not amazingly, because they were both very short. One died and the other one just was, you know, a short campaign. The only thing I remember about one of those characters is the fact that one of them, I got her name off of a name generator. And for whatever reason, even I couldn't pronounce it right. And I changed the pronunciation of her name every single time. Every single time I said it. So nobody at the table was like, how do you say her name? It's like, I don't even know how to say her name. Oh my god, 2E or Aria, dang. That's crazy. 2E. I've only played 5E and now Pathfinder 2E. But, look at Anima's friend's character. Well, this is really cute, Anima. I love the art. I'm assuming you did it. It's very, very adorable. But, yeah, pretty bog standard looking tiefling. So it would be interesting as to sort of painting why she was ostracized or they were ostracized. Oh, I bet. I bet, Arya, I bet. But I think that maybe the route to go with that is to sort of try to dive into depth more about why the player wants... I'm sorry. Let me back this up and try to collect my thoughts a little better this time. I think that you should try to get the player of this tiefling to think more about what is the why the character is ostracized, right? And what I mean by that is obviously, or logically, the character is not ostracized by looking different, right? They're in this tiefling community, right? They're in this tiefling area, like they're not out of place. So I think that you should try to narrow down what the factor is that makes this character ostracized and flesh that out a little more, right? Maybe they have, you know, I don't know what class they are, but, you know, or background they are, but, you know, sort of leaning into those things. Like, there's one background that I think is like, you looked in Cthulhu's book, essentially, and the Eldritch Horrors, and you can't unsee it. I'm trying to remember what that background's called and stuff like that. But, you know, maybe they became a cleric. I don't know what class they are. Maybe they became a cleric, and that's, like, weird, right? Because they worshipped a different god. You know, so maybe lean into that and try to narrow down the, like, okay, general ostracization, you know, they're a warlock. Okay, so that could be a thing, right? Their patron is maybe very different from the kinds of gods and everything that are worshipped in this area where they're from. Maybe warlocks are pretty looked down upon because, let's say, maybe tieflings are supposed to be like really good at making good contracts, right? And this tiefling, this character, made a bad contract. So they're like ostracized for being dumb in that way, right? Just by the framing of the world around them, right? Like, ha, you got played, nobody ever wants to do. So maybe instead of actually being ostracized, maybe they're constantly berated with like people wanting to sign contracts with them and screw them over, right? And that's why they leave, because everybody thinks they're like a pushover after they become a warlock, right? They make this deal that's not a great deal for them. Everybody else is like, oh, this is an easy sort of mark, right? And then they go on and they sort of do that. And so that's why they like money, because they're constantly getting ripped off because they're seen as like an easy mark. And so they want to like keep their money now because they're like, they've got this fear of losing all their money. That could be a thing. Okay, that's a good one, That's a good one, Dorky David, as well. Kind of going the opposite way. Is the, oh, they don't want to be associated with devils, which are the contracts, right? So they don't want to make contracts and they don't want to deal with contracts. And then this character made a contract. It's like, what are you doing? You're giving everybody else a bad name. All this sort of stuff. All right, good night, Anima. Have fun. I hope it works out. Yeah, I hope it works out. Hope you can narrow it down. Hope everybody can be happy in the end. But, alright. I think what we can do now is we can briefly talk about armor, so I get it in. I don't do what I did last time, where I didn't talk about staffs at all. And I actually talk about it, right? So, in D&D, in 5e, right, you got different parts of armor. But the main part that is an armor is usually like a chest plate, right? But there's also armor sets and things like that, where it's just one grouping of gear, and that gives you sort of statistics, right? So you can see it in like, you have the base non-magical armors, right? Like leather, studded leather, splint, plate, half plate, all that sort of stuff, right? But then you just have, sort of like certain chest plates or armor of like glistening or whatever, the one that's always clean all the time, right? They're not necessarily specific armor parts besides usually like a chest plate. And that's what usually has like the +1 armor thing on it. Versus you can get like boots are their own wondrous item, right? Bracers are their own wondrous item. And so it's interesting because something I really enjoy in video games is armor sets with armor set bonuses, right? And now that's not something that's really in D&D. That's not something that sort of sits there and just exists. It is something that you sort of have to make for yourself. And now the problem with that is the idea of then classifying what the whole set's rarity would be versus what the individual pieces would be. Is for armor that you beat your enemies to death with? Yes. But so in this example, the whole set, so this would be all of the bonuses that all the features that each individual piece gives you, plus the set bonus, make the whole set very rare, right? So you have to balance it out. Now, when talking about armor, pluses to AC scale differently than pluses to attack and damage, or spell DC, right? So a +1 to attack and damage on a weapon is uncommon. Same with a +1 to spell save DC and spell attack bonus would also be uncommon. And then +2 would be rare, and +3 would be very rare. However, when it comes to armor, a +1 to your AC on anything is on a piece of armor is rare. automatically. We skip uncommon. +2 would be very rare, right? Because it's just a lot more weight to it in D&D. Now, the reason that shields are not like that, and shields are +1 shields is uncommon, is because you actually have to hold it, right? So it limits the amount of, like, weapons that you can have and everything like that. So that's why it's a little different as well. Now, what seems to be sort of a good formula to live by when sort of making an armor set. So I like my armor sets to have 4 pieces, right? My personal armor sets have pauldrons, the cuirass, the bracers, and the greaves, right? So shoulders, chest, arms, and shins, right? I like that. That's just me personally. You could change it. Maybe you don't have pauldrons. Maybe you have like a cloak with a cape or something. Maybe you don't have, greaves, you have a helmet, anything like that. You can replace something with a helmet. Maybe the pauldrons and the chest plate are drawn as one thing, and then the helmet is the separate thing. However you go. I'm not a helmet person solely for the fact that it obscures the character's face, and I like to do art, so I want the character's face there. So that's a me preference, not necessarily an anything else preference. It's not that I don't like necessarily how helmets look, I just prefer character faces. So that's just me, and that's why my armor sets don't have don't have helmets. They separate the pauldrons and the thing. Now, a good way to do it is to have 3 uncommons, a rare, and that's what makes the very rare. They all have attunement, right? Now, the interesting thing about armor sets is in D&D, you only have 3 attunement slots, right? You can only be attuned to 3 things at once. No, this is true, Sakura. This is definitely true. I'm definitely less of a helmet person. But there's definitely characters that my party has had that are full helmeted. I can think of only one off the top of my head. Oh, two now. Newest one is full helmeted as well, and he looks pretty cool. But he's a skeleton, and he's got sort of like full masked samurai-esque armor going on to cover that he's a skeleton, so he looks like just a human in full armor. So that's pretty neat, and that's got like a lot of stuff there. And then having the set bonus, right, would make it a whole thing. Now, our specific set bonuses for these armor sets that are here are specifically like elemental. So they have a special thing where it's like in the elemental plane that they're on, it doesn't have charges versus in like the non-elemental plane that they're from, it would have charges. But yeah, that's sort of it. Otherwise, it's choosing what armor you want it to be equivalent to, right? Like in this case, it could be, I made it so it could be light, medium, or heavy, but thematically, honestly, you could choose it to be different. Really what that does is that's just going to limit what characters can use it, right? Because not everybody's proficient in every kind of armor, so if you like leave out whatever, the other part is that it would leave like what ACs they could be a part of, right? So if you have only light armor, like the AC can only be so high, versus if you have heavy armor, it could be plate armor and you could have that 18 base. So that sort of thing. So that's very important. Now, in this set, the only thing that actually gives the armor stat is the cuirass, right? So when I list everything out, it'll tell you that the greaves, the pauldrons, the bracers are wondrous items, but the cuirass is actually the armor, the magic armor. And so that's the part that if you wanted to give AC pluses, that I would recommend putting, that I wouldn't put the AC pluses on everything like that, because that sort of really changes out the rarity. Now, the other cool thing that I was talking about before briefly is the idea of attunement, right? So technically, in my armor sets, every item has attunement. However, because they're of the same set, they don't count as different slots, because that allows you to be attuned to only one thing as the full armor set, and it gives you a reason to sort of collect them all, right? So that's sort of how I dealt with that. because they all acquire attunement and they sort of stack like that, it does sort of screw with the rarity levels a little bit, but that's just sort of par for the course. In 5e, rarity means very little, at least concretely, outside of those like +1s that I talked about earlier. But otherwise, yeah, that's sort of how I'd recommend going about armor set. This one is the Cloudwalker armor that I made a long time ago for a campaign that technically is not finished, but is like a side campaign that we play every once in a while, so it'll eventually be finished. And I want to redraw it because it's kind of old and I've improved a lot, and I want it to sort of get brought up to my my current standard of artistic abilities. So that's probably what I'll be working on today. But that'll be when Mars talks about her character. So are there any questions about armor? If there's no questions about armor, then we'll move on to the next portion of our festivities. This feels like the most now I've lost the track of my thought. This feels like the most structured stream that we do, just because Mars isn't here and we don't have each other to go on tangents off of tangents off of tangents. So it's definitely a little weird talking by myself a little more. Mars should be hopefully showing up relatively soon. But, alright, with no questions, we'll move on, before I start drawing again, to my character's backstory. So like I said before, I didn't have a backstory with this character originally. We have played, I think it's 7 sessions now, 6 or 7 sessions of this campaign with this character. And I did not have any concrete sort of backstory to it. Really what I had was that they're a summoner. So they have a summon. How they got their summon, it was that they used to be a mushroom farmer, and kind of James and the Giant Peach vibe. Random mushroom grew out of the ground. There's him follow the summon. Alright, the Eidolon, the companion for life. So now after getting to sort of know my character, right, I feel that now is the time where I actually do have the ability to write a bit more of a backstory. And so I sort of wrote down, I'm a fan of sort of compartmentalizing the backstory. It's sort of in sections, with titled sections. So I have like a life, because coming into having this Eidolon, having this summon is like a big deal. I sort of have like a before the Eidolon, a sort of after the Eidolon, a sort of like meeting the Eidolon, and a sort of like leaving to go on the hero's journey sort of vibe, because the Eidolon is not what caused my character to go on the hero's journey. But yeah, so we'll get into that. So, Lycorie. The first part is a boring life. In Lycorie's home of Kukura, life was simple. Those gifted with the talent of weaving were revered for their skills, as silk was their main good for trade. One might assume all Anadi are born with this talent, only realizing the absurdity of their thinking upon entering an Anadi village. Lycorie was one of those born without a strand of silk weaving skill to their name. So, as was the fate of most untalented Anadi, Lycorie worked as a mushroom farmer, tasked with growing food for their village and family. For the rest of their life, Lycorie was expected to be a farmer until they were no longer able. Though this was not Lycorie's desired path in life, they resigned themselves to the task and monotonously worked the fields for many years. That's sort of like the preface, right? And then we have another little preface, which is a little different because my character is not only an Anadi, they're also what's called a Ganzi, which in Pathfinder is a heritage, which is very cool. So, Tiefling is also a heritage in Pathfinder. And what this means is that you can be an elf and a tiefling. You can be a gnoll and a tiefling. You can be a goblin and a tiefling, right? So nobody is just a tiefling. You're something that's also a tiefling. And I think that's really cool. Honestly, my vibe. Ganzi are like that, so you're something and a Ganzi. So in my case, I'm an Anadi and a Ganzi. And so we have the next little portion that goes magic anomalies. While lacking the Anadi's most prized talent, Lycori was far from average, at least in an outsider's eyes. It was known to the citizens of Kukura that Kukura was built on top of a weak point in the plains, such that magic might seep through and affect the material. This weakening was said to be what allows the Anadi of Kukura to be able to shift from their arachnid self into a humanoid form. Whether or not this was truly the case, the strange magic did have one obvious effect on the citizens. Every so often, an Anadi would be born with strange features. Some had tails or feathers, others had horns or scales. Lycori is one of these anomalies. While an onlooker might expect these sort of Anadi to be revered or feared by their brethren, these anomalies were treated as nothing different or special. The odd features might aid in certain skills, like acrobatics in Lycori's case, but none help with weaving, and that's all that mattered. So that's sort of how we get the Ganzi background, sort of in there, just a little flavor text. Nothing truly that a DM would necessarily work on either of those things. More just a vibe check for myself, I guess. But now we get into the real meat, which is how we met Umfalo, and it sort of goes into how, what the background that I have is. So the background that I have is called Once Bitten, and you'll see what that is and how that is in a moment. But let's get into this. An unexpected friend. On a day like any other, Lycori woke at the crack of dawn to go and tend to the mushrooms. Upon arrival, they spotted a rather strange-looking specimen. It was larger than the other mushrooms Lycori had planted, and it pulsed with an eerie glow. After staring at it for a moment longer, Lycori snapped back to reality and went into a panic. What if it was a parasitic species that would kill all of their crop? Without thinking, a moment longer, Lycori rushed to the odd shroom, got a good grip, and pulled. Pop! Surprisingly easily, the mushroom lifted out of the ground, causing Lycori to fall over. But what shocked them the most was the creature laying exposed in the place the mushroom once was. Lycori got up and crept towards the creature. It was ethereal, slightly see-through, and showed no obvious signs of life. Once Lycori was way too close to the unknown entity, its eyes shot open, and, likely being startled by Lycori being almost right on top of it, it snapped out with its gaping maw and bit one of Lycori's legs. Fight or flight kicked in, and the second that the creature let go, Lycori booked it into the woods and hoisted themselves up a tree. Fully in a panic, Lycori realized that the creature was likely some sort of undead, and steeled themselves as they prepared to sever their wounded leg before it became infected. As Lycori raised their sickle, a voice rang out from below. "Oh there, there's no need for that, mate. I'm sorry I bit you, but you don't need to take such drastic measures." Lycori opened their eyes slowly and peeked over the side of the branch where they sat. At the base of the trunk sat the mysterious creature, gazing up at Lycori. As they stared into each other's eyes, a wave of calm washed over Lycori, and they lowered their sickle. And now we have the final little bit, which is not fully written out, but I'll sort of ad-lib it at the end. And this will be Into the Unknown. After their hectic meeting, Lycori and Umfalo became fast friends. While Umfalo was not as much accepted as outright ignored, the village did not have any issue with him hanging around. Lycori would continue to go about their daily routines as before, but with a bit more welcome company. Umfalo, on the other hand, quickly grew restless. He wished to travel beyond the village, find adventure, and show Lycori that there was a place where their talents would be appreciated. Unfazed by Umfalo's pestering, Lycori stood stubbornly firm. While the rest of the world might be fun, it would also be dangerous. And here they knew what to do and how to do it. Days turned into weeks, turns into months, and the monotony continued day in and day out until the universe itself got bored. Whether by means of the magic seeping through the rift or a chaotic spellcaster, a small band of undead stalked their way into Kukura. Sensing them first, Umfalo bounded towards the enemies, eager to finally do something other than farming. Spurred by something unseen, Lycori ran after Umfalo, and the two of them managed to fight off the undead and come out unscathed, saving the village. With their triumphant, with their overcoming of this thing, now I'm ad-libbing, okay, I'm not as good as that. The rest of the village thought that Lycori knew so much about these strange undead creatures, being Umfalo being one of them, and being able to fight off these threats to the village. However, Lycori was not particularly versed in anything outside of Umfalo, and even there, they lacked much knowledge in the first place. Now armed with courage and desire to learn more about the undead that had been pestering their sort of way of life in various ways, Lycori gave in to Umfalo's desire to travel beyond the woods. And off they set into the unknown. So yeah, that's my little backstory, and it really just came off after being, playing for a while and really getting to know the character. So I think that's definitely my preferred method of backstory writing and everything like that. But I'm curious if any of you have sort of a preference on how to write character backstories. What do you use to inspire your character's backstories? Do you usually make a character because you have an idea? Like I once made a character that was because I had I made a character because I really, really wanted to have this really good build in 5e, right? Like, it was a really good build, and I made sort of a story around that, about what they would be, and so they didn't really have a backstory, but they had sort of like a brief, like, call to action, right? I guess is the short word of, like, a backstory. But it wasn't particularly inspired off of their background or their class or anything like that. It was solely just a really cool vibe that fit with them being really OP because they were min-maxed really well. But in other cases, it's just, mostly it's me just falling into a character, right? I like taking the flaws, the ideals, and the bonds and sort of stuff from... Hello, Jamie. Welcome. I heard PCM had a lot of issues on their stream the other day, so they say there's not a lot to talk about. Ooh, voice first. Are you forever DM Scarecrow, or do you ever get to play? Ah, okay, so same thing. So voice first. Yeah, it sounded like a lot of shopping, but poor monitor. Play rarely? I'm sorry if you want to play more. If you don't want to play more and you love being a DM, then, glad to have you. Glad to have people like you. But I'm not saying that you don't love DMing. More the idea that, like, do you want to be a player ever, right? Like, or are you more than like, I would rather be a DM? Because I think, like, I enjoy DMing. I've had fun DMing. But honestly, I think I prefer being a player. Versus my partner Dylan, he loves DMing. And every time that he's not DMing, it always, like, surprises me. But I think it's more of, like, a logistics issue than necessarily a not wanting to DM, and more just the not having time to put in the effort for it. Oh, for playtesting. I see, interesting. My true BBEG would be social media management. Does that go with logistics? I don't know if that counts as logistics. I'd have to look up logistics definition. But Jamie, how do you come up with your characters? Do you sort of have an idea first, or do you have like a voice first, like Scarecrow has? Do you like Scarecrow? Scarecrow? Would you like to be called something else? Let me know. Um, yeah, or Dorky David. How do you guys sort of come up with your characters? I definitely, I almost always pick my class and everything first. Vomit ideas. Like story ideas, Jamie, or like mechanics ideas? Because for me, I definitely find it's like in 5e it was I want to play bard. I haven't played this bard yet. Yeah, class first. I feel that. I feel that. Do you use the ideals, flaws, and bonds? Either Scarecrow, JB, Dorky David, anybody? Because I do find I like using those to make this backstory. Concept like lore concept, Dorky David, or like build concept. Yeah, that's the vibe, Jamie. I see Scarecrow. Okay. I see. I see Dorky David. I get it. I get it. We'll have to ask Mars when she comes in what her sort of thing is. But yeah, because I'm trying to think of, like, I think the other thing closest to a player character, quote unquote, would be the OCs of the comic. And honestly, that was more just like, that was very vague, sort of cliches, was what we wrote down. So it was like researcher and pirate. And then they blossomed from there. Interesting, Jamie. I see, Dorky David. I see. I see. But yeah, I definitely use the flaws and bonds and ideals like tables as a crutch. Um, I had no idea where to start with Lycoria's backstory here, but I went to like Archives of Nethys for Pathfinder 2e, and I looked at the race and all its flavor sort of things. I looked at the class and all its flavor sort of things. I looked at the specific eidolon that I have and its sort of flavor text, and I looked at what my background, the background that I was using was, and sort of what my the skills that I have are, and so all that sort of stuff. Well, that really helped. Okay, that does not make sense for the legs to be like that. Did they help inform the backstory though, Jamie, or you just kind of you tried it and then it wasn't what you wanted and you moved on, which is also fine. Because I do find that it can give you sort of that coin flip vibe where it's like you don't know which to choose. You flip a coin, and no matter what the coin says, you know which thing you want now because you were like in that split second you were either disappointed or happy with the outcome. So, or it just more like it wasn't coming to you, you did it, and then it came to you. Oh yeah, you just didn't end up using it at all. Welcome back, PCM. Yeah, it happens. That's honestly why I'm not a huge backstory person. And why I'm honestly very happy that that I sort of did this in a way where it's like, I got 7 sessions with the character, and then see, so that's the difference. I don't roll on the tables. Yeah, PCM, we're talking about how you come up with your characters, right? Like, does the backstory come first? Does the class build race come first? Does a voice come first? You know, what sort of things comes first for you, PCM? But yeah, I don't actually roll on the tables. Yeah, I don't roll on the tables, Jamie. I use the tables as like inspiration. Like I'll look at the tables. I'd be like, "Oh, I like that one." And I'll choose tables. That's very true, Dorky David. Oh, rolled, quote unquote. Okay. PCM, you liar. Why you gotta do it like this? You get stuck? I guess I'm just stuck all the time. No. Yeah, I'm just not a backstory person. It's funny. I I play to role play, you know. I don't play to write. I'm not a writer. I don't like writing. That's why I have a writer and her name is Mars. Yeah, it just struck with the inspiration then. Okay, I was gonna trace, but I don't think I'm gonna do that anymore. But I do like this, and I'm gonna save this pose. Has this character's story finished? Like either did they die or did their campaign end, Jamie? Or are you still playing them? Oh, so PCM, the question about the backstory before with Anima was the idea that they had a player that has a character that they really want to dump a lot of traumatic experiences on. And Jamie, you weren't here for this, so you might help out too, and see your opinion on it. But they wanted a lot of traumatic things that really didn't make sense with what the story was, right? So they're a tiefling, and they come from a tiefling city in a tiefling country, essentially. So vast majority tieflings are the majority. However, they wanted to be ostracized for how they looked and bullied for how they looked and like being a tiefling and all this other stuff. So it just really didn't make sense. Yeah, so they had a flaw in the end, Jamie, right? Exactly, PCM. I also say I wouldn't say that there's like a you sort of have one main trauma and then there's sort of like other little traumas, but the main one is the big one, right, PCM? Like Andromeda and Polaroid have their one issue that they didn't remember. And Neffy has her, like, yeah, she was ostracized and hated, but her biggest thing was that she, like, barbecued her siblings. Right? So it's like that whole stuff. I don't really know how to act that out. How to act out him convincing, manipulating, and oh, he's easily manipulated, convinced to do things. I think just be easily manipulated. Sort of taking things at face value, maybe, or those sort of things. Taking people at face value, or he says like, "No, I won't do that," and then it's like something he wants. It's like, "Never mind, I will do that." No barbarian. Oh, I see. It was bigger than him. That's fun, Dorky David. This is very true, PCM. Yeah. Mm. So that's an interesting sort of role play caveat, I think, right? Oh goodness, PCM. Well, apparently you're already good at crying on stream, so I think you'll do fine. Be processing. That definitely leans into it, Jamie. That definitely leans into it. Yeah, I see that, PCM. I see that. Um, yeah, you don't know what I'm talking about. Sure, sure. But that's an interesting thing, and I'd love sort of opinions on this. Is the idea of like I'm a person, I really, really don't want my characters to die, right? I'm very concerned about my characters dying. I get attached, okay? I don't want them to die. Who wants your children to die? Not me. And, you know, some people are not like me. Some people are willing and ready. I know Dylan is. I'm not. Um, but how do you play certain things like being very easily manipulated or very trusting or very whatever and still have some sort of self-preservation instinct in your character, right? Does that make sense? How do you as a player overcome your sort of skepticism for a character that wouldn't be skeptical? That's an interesting question. She is very precious. You don't want to kill her, you just want to twist the knife, PCM. Oh, I agree, Dorky David. Definitely changes a lot. Ooh, do spill, Jamie. Do spill. Does your wizard have a name? Can we call him by a name? Oh God, that's the wrong way. Vilros or Vilros. 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 Ah, okay. So that could be a fun, trusting rogue scarecrow. I like the idea of that. That really goes against the classic rogue, you know, vibes as well. You're wizard too, Dorky David. I will always take character names. I also like talking about character names. I know I've talked about naming characters before and stuff, and naming places before, but this could be for the DMs too, because Scarecrow's new here. Sort of naming, how you go about naming NPCs, characters, places, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's my problem, PC. I'm trying to have them take actions that are bad, but they would do, right? Like a very, this is what my character would do, but it would kill them or is a bad idea. It like pains me. So I'll say that in the role-playing games, right? In specifically tabletop role-playing games. Video games you can save and you can restart and whatever. But I words George Coley. I like that. But I lost my train of thought. Oh, but with tabletop RPG characters, once they're dead, they like quote unquote rarely come back. Like I'm talking fully dead. I'm talking they're not gonna be revived. I it definitely shoehorns in the type of characters I'm willing to play for my own fun. So it's definitely interesting to sort of like get different backstories, but with still being like, I am a self preservation person. So, naive characters are kind of hard for me personally to play just because it's like, I don't want to be naive and die. Translations are fun. That's how I named the town in my backstory character here. I see, Scarecrow. That kind of vibes with what I do. I'm an arborist by trade originally, so I enjoy picking plants that vibe with the character for whatever reason, and then taking their scientific names and modifying them until they sound like a fun name. God. Pain of breaking the consistency would be greater. All right, PCM, all to you. Off the dome. You're lucky to have that, Dorky David. Envy. Mmm. Ooh, I do like that, Jamie. That is nice. Well, I guess that is the difference, like being strong enough. My character, a funny example, is I seem to end up being the healer a lot. One, because I do like sort of fitting into this dual role, ideally, right? Of support and damage. But, and that's honestly Summoner 2E, Pathfinder 2E. Love it, because that's exactly what I want. I didn't plan on being the medic in this Pathfinder game at all. I didn't take any I don't have any healing spells. I didn't take any healing spells because I don't have any. I took medicine because it worked out and it was nice to have, but I didn't like plan to be it. Turned out I had the highest medicine score. So I just sort of played into that. And now I have the medic archetype, so you know, there we are. And you know, it's fun that way. I don't have that trust PCM. Dylan will smite me for my actions, and so I don't have that sort of trust at all. I see, Jamie. I see. Oof, PCM, no. Not Neffy. Neffy does run into battle a lot, doesn't she? Jurok Malarkin. Oh, that's a lot of... Oh, this is just names off the head. Malarkin? Honestly, I love Malarkin. I love Malarkin too much. It's too great. Sure, PCM, sure. I do like Malarkin. Malarkin's my favorite one out of that Turkey Day. I know they're like first name, last name, but Malarkin, top tier. Well, yeah, no. Not walking off a cliff, but I guess it's the idea. It's like a funny example. This is a funny example. One of our players, Fuel King, he is very skeptical all the time because Dylan, the DM, is he does enjoy the odd unreliable narrator, right? So every once in a while, there's definitely like getting screwed over by an NPC. Now, however, this is definitely not the usual, right? It is not the classic that he plays like a very unseeming character that ends up double crossing or something. That's definitely not the rare. Oh, I'm so sorry, Scarecrow. Thank you. I'm sorry that you'll miss Mars, but good luck with your browser and have a nice night. Thanks for hanging out always. Oh,
who
just
just
as
left?
Mars came, Scarecrow. Mars, change your outfit. Get changed. No.
Ah, crap.
Yes.
You know, I can only do so much at once, Ori.
I know. Come on. How can you not get dressed, make dinner, drive, all at the same time? I can't believe you.
I know, right? It's completely unreasonable.
Yeah, indeed,
No,
indeed.
you guys are just gonna have to deal with my Emma costume for a couple minutes.
If only I could change it for you.
You
Yeah,
can.
do it, Jamie. Do it. Also, I need Malarkin to be an NPC at some point. I don't know where. I don't know when, but Malarkin is a great name. I'm not over that, Turkey David. Yeah, Scarecrow is someone who also makes D&D homebrew stuff from Dichotomy Games, if I am remembering correctly. I don't believe. I think you did just meet Mars, but if you didn't, then Scarecrow, then no worries.
It could be.
Look, I was right.
I guess I'm like the co-host or something.
Oh, something like that, you know. Usually
Something
she's
like
here.
Tuesdays are an
No worries,
exception to the
Scarecrow.
rule just because my class, it is a night class. It goes late and it takes me some time to get home.
I know, how dare you?
Such
Can't
is
believe
life.
it.
I know. How dare I try to advance my career through academic means? The audacity.
Oh goodness, Storky David. Pain.
Wait,
Pain.
what? What happened?
Pip Puff Schnauzer bull rushed a polymorph dragon. Dragon was a halfling. Off a cliff to its death. It was supposed to brutalize
Oh
the party.
no!
DM laid an egg. Yeah, I could feel that DM
Oh
pain.
man.
See you, Scarecrow. Have a good night.
Bye, Scarecrow. Glad I could catch you in those last few moments. Okay, save,
Yeah.
save. I should be in my normal outfit now.
That's when the cliff is so long that the dragon has enough time to polymorph out of being a halfling into a dragon, right? That's how I would play that.
Uh-oh.
Or they suddenly have a ring of featherfall or something. No,
And
yeah.
suddenly,
If Pip
on their person.
Pip did what? The Sherlock Holmes Moriarty? Yeah, I can see that being worth.
Also, I apologize for any chewing noises you guys might hear.
Yes.
No noob story? Ah!
No, they had
How
technical
could you not have a
difficulties
noob story?
on
Oh.
stream, unfortunately. Oh god, I did not want to
I
do
see.
it.
Because I was about to say, there's no way nothing happened to Noob.
No, it was just that technical difficulties didn't have like a full session, mostly like a shopping session, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But yes, I told about
I
like Corey's
gotcha.
backstory, so that was fun and interesting.
Hmm. Which is so fascinating to me. Because you're always the one that says, "Oh, I don't go in with a backstory. I just got
So I
a
don't.
vibe, and then I figure it out from there."
Honestly, I think the only reason that I could write anything of a backstory for this was because we played 7 sessions already.
Mm.
I think that that would be my ideal in the future, would always have sort of like, I don't really know. I'm just here, plays character, gets vibe, then backstory. You know what I'm saying?
I gotcha.
Yeah, PCM,
Honestly, that was how I played my first couple of characters because I didn't really know what direction. Jolie, especially. I
Oh,
really did not have much of a direction for her.
well, yeah, on a lot of the short ones, you don't. It's just kind of how it is on the micros. You giving Thaddeus such a big backstory was kind of like a side thing, in all honesty.
It wasn't a big backstory.
It was
It was more
fairly
just a
fleshed out, though.
goofy one. Was it? I thought it was just a one-off gag.
No, I don't know. It's more fleshed out than I give most of my characters. All I'm gonna say.
Fair enough.
That's
I guess
wild, Dorky
talking
David.
about backstory stuff, I should talk about backstory stuff.
Yes, you should.
All right. Well, so as you guys know, or for those of you who don't, I play a little poppet called Miss Molly. And her main vibe, at least aesthetic wise, I very much wanted like that classic retro Raggedy Ann vibe. Kind of like half cottagecore, half 70s child's toy. Her whole deal is that she is a wishborn poppet. Now, wishborns are, excuse me, brought to life, as the name implies, through someone's wish. Like they basically a soul was placed inside this poppet. And please correct me if I'm missing on lore, Ori.
I'm not the person to ask, but I think you're right.
Okay, awesome. Yay. So my whole story with that. So when I was first creating Miss Molly, I went in with a general idea because Dylan and Ori sold me on the idea of I want a character that uses the food they make to be their spells. And Dylan and Ori turned to me and said, with Pathfinder, you can have that. This was basically their sell to get me into Pathfinder. Not that I needed much convincing. So with that in mind, my poppet ended up being a witch, which honestly doesn't affect too much, like not personality or backstory wise. The main thing that's affecting the backstory is the poppet wishborn aspect, because on paper you can get a ton of angst out of that. So my whole idea to work in the food element was Miss Molly used to work at a restaurant, and it was a family-owned restaurant, and it was owned by a man she called Papa. To her, it was basically kind of ambiguous whether this was her actual Papa. She basically woke up one day. It was like, I am here. I exist. This is the guy who takes care of me. And a little bit later down the line, she started working in the restaurant that he owned. Eventually what ended up happening, and I gotta be honest, not all of the backstory is fleshed out. But she did have a previous life before this one, because she is a wishborn. Her soul was basically put in a doll. And the main lean that I had for that was that she was a child in her previous life, died somehow, and basically her father was so distraught, made a puppet to bring her back from the dead. Think Actually, I don't even need to say demented Pinocchio, because we do have the new Pinocchio that just came out that has that exact same premise. What's interesting about it is, even though I didn't have all the bits and pieces figured out right away, the the structure was there, so I could kind of expand on that depending on what happened. And something very interesting did happen in our last session. For those of you who were there for the summary, for those of you who weren't, to give a very brief summary, my character signed a contract to keep another NPC alive. She had to make a deal saying that as long as she doesn't do this action, this person will stay alive. And the deal she made was, I will not purposefully set fire to myself. And that makes sense. She's a puppet. She is very flammable. Stats wise, she is highly vulnerable to flame damage. So it's like, okay, that seems relatively easy to avoid. And then I remembered my character is a cook who spends a lot of time around an open flame. So maybe I should have thought this through a bit more.
See, the thing is purposefully.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's
I'm
the
gonna
key
say
word
that
there.
if Dylan being a lawyer in training, if he tries to state that you like burning yourself during cooking is a purposeful setting on fire, there's gonna be words. You're gonna have
Yeah.
words.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. So, what was interesting about that is, I have all these fire elements in my that are in the storyline that are impacting my main character somehow. Like, now she has a contract about how she can't set herself on fire. She's weak to fire. And for the most part, and this is not intentional on my part, but a pattern I could say that she has is she is a little flippant with her damage spells. Like, obviously she's trying to aim for the enemy, but she's like, yeah, electric arc, electrocute them all, type of thought process. So I started thinking, okay, what if she originally died in a fire? Because something else I didn't really expect to happen that same session was, I'll just say the devil, because it was a deal with the devil. So I'm just gonna call him a devil to make it
He is
easier.
a devil. He is a devil. This is confirmed.
A devil. He revealed Molly's past to her. Not all of it, but just that she did
That
have a
she was
previous
killed
life.
to death once upon a time.
Yes, she was killed to death. People die if they are killed. But
Yeah, maybe sometimes.
she wouldn't die even if she were killed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I had to. So that kind of got me thinking along the lines of, okay, what if it were a fire-related incident that had killed her the first time around? And not only that, what if it was a cooking accident? What if it was like somehow the place was set on fire and she got trapped inside? Was my thought process. Because it couldn't just be a random fire. Because then there's no point to like, it was caused by her. I think that would have some more dramatic irony as well. So that's the angle I'm definitely leaning into. One of the ideas I was also toying around with was this idea that maybe her father did try to keep her away from the kitchen at first, like maybe even to not an unhealthy degree, but he was very cautious and very
Protective.
alert. But she had that instinct and love for cooking from her previous life, so she was just naturally drawn to the kitchen. And after a while, it was like, okay, I can't fight it, but at the very least, I can have her work for me this time and make sure she's safe, like multiple eyes on her and all that. So that's the idea I'm currently playing with backstory wise. I do think she had a very loving parent that at first was like in her previous life it was a little more of equal footing, but now in her new puppet form there's definitely more of a no, I'm the parent, you're the child, you're going to listen to me type attitude because of how he lost his daughter the first time around. Like, he doesn't want to go through that again. That's the worst pain he experienced.
Yep.
Or why she's on this journey. I was toying with a couple ideas in the initial process, and I'm still kind of toying with them as well. There's this idea that maybe her father went missing, like maybe he went out foraging because their stocks were running low. Maybe trade got halted somehow, so he went to go solve that problem and never returned, so now she's going out on her own. I could also imagine like the restaurant falling to ruin because if her dad's not around, he can't pay the employees, he can't pay for the food, no one's coming anymore. And now she has no reason to stay because there's no guests to serve or anything, so she goes off on her own. That was definitely one idea I was toying with. And then of course there's the ironic, her dad died somehow. I could definitely see that happening as well. I don't think there's as much intrigue with that. I mean, the way I was coming up with this, I was literally driving back from school one night and I just started doing voices in the car because I had to figure out how she was going to sound. She is very childlike, and my goal was to be childish but not irritating because I
Yes.
don't want my group to hate my character. But
You
just
succeeded then. You do not hate Miss Molly.
wait, what was that? You cut out.
I said, you succeeded then. We do not hate Miss Molly.
Oh, yay. Because, like, you kind of toe the line,
Oh, def.
But I was sitting in the car, driving back, and I was like, okay, let me pretend I'm being my character, and I'm telling the other characters my backstory, like, hi, I'm Miss Molly, da 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 da. And that's what I'm doing in the car as I'm driving back. And at one point, I started saying lines like, oh, Papa? Oh yeah, he's a good man. Well, was. He was asleep when I left. It was a very deep sleep. I couldn't wake him no matter how hard I tried. So I thought maybe I'd leave and find a cure. And it's like, this isn't set in stone or anything. This is just me saying whatever comes to mind so
Vibin'.
I can practice this voice. I'm just like vibing hard in the car. But that was an idea as well. Cause I call me twisted. But children don't understand death very well, and I could definitely see this poppet who's relied on this parental figure for so long being very confused when he doesn't wake anymore. So just describing it as a deep sleep, but it's like it's something, but it's very like one and done, you know? Like,
Mm.
if it's the case where her father's missing, like, he could come back. Or she could find other people that knew him. Or, like, other restaurants. Or maybe even, like, the place that they traded with to get all their wares or something. Like, that, I feel, has a lot more potential. The thing with him being missing, though, and I don't think this would be up to me. I think it would have to be up to the DM because it's got to be a surprise to me. Like, I don't know how he went missing. But considering how attached and concerned he is for Molly, he would have to be being held or kept up somewhere. Like, I don't think this is a man that would just,
That would
whoops,
just
lost
dip
my
out.
compass. I can't get home. Like, no, he'd have to
Mm-hmm.
be stuck for some good reason. Injury, being held hostage, kidnapped, what have you. So, I'm still deciding between those two. I do think missing persons definitely offers more potential and possibly some character development as well. Like the father could see how far Molly has come with her new party. Is like, oh, you left the house all by yourself. Or he could get very mad at that. And,
Mm-hmm.
we have a reverse character growth. And now Molly has to say, no, I want to stay with my friends. I don't want to go back. Like, I'm trying to find my place in the world, blah, 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 all that good stuff. Still very much a work in progress. But it's fun to play around with. I think I hit all the general points in the backstory. Oh, except for I gotta be honest. So Miss Molly has a familiar named Hyba. Hibernate, actually. Yes, it's a pun. And he's a little ferret. I still don't quite know how those two met. Honestly, I kind of think maybe she was foraging one day and it could be like she happened across this very hungry ferret, she showed it kindness, and then whoop, there's a bond. Um, Maybe it could even be like the ferret was part of an infestation in the restaurant, and when the father like kind of threatened to get rid of them, she was like, "No, please don't." And he
Oh.
couldn't say no to those eyes, so that's an option as well. There's lots
Interesting.
of options to
I
go with
was
that one. I
thinking.
don't know which I like more.
So I was thinking because Hyba is your familiar from being a witch, right? So it's kind of like your equivalent
Mhm.
of warlock patron. Um, it's Hyba's what gives you your powers. Um, so
Mhm.
what I was actually thinking in my mind after what you told me was the idea that father dies, disappears, whatever. Then Hyba comes.
Oh.
So Hyba is what allows Miss Molly to leave, right? I can't do anything. I don't know. I can't do it. Whatever. She's kind of helpless, right?
Mhm.
And then Hyba comes. They make their deal, and if it is dead, maybe he promises you a way to bring him back to life. If he's disappeared, you'll help find him. Whatever. Those sort of things. That's what I was thinking.
Okay. I could see that too. And you're right. I have been neglecting the witch aspect of my
Oh my
character a
god,
lot. So
that's wild,
I do
Jamie.
need to consider that. Also, I apologize if anyone's hearing chewing noises. I am trying to be as quiet as possible.
You're gonna make me get more food. Because I'm starving and I need something to eat. So I'm gonna actually go
Oh,
do that. But
you need
what
me to
I
hold the fort for a bit?
yes, Turkey David does love witches. Mars is
Ah,
playing a
nice,
witch.
Turkey David.
Um, the question I wanted to ask you is, I realized that making characters for like the comic, right? I found
Mhm.
that to be very different experience than I would think of making a character for D&D, right? For TTRPGs. Um,
Right.
do you feel that way, like especially writing a backstory, right? Like obviously I'm not a backstory
Mm.
writing person, however I can help you like spit out shit constantly for the comic characters, right? um
Oh yeah.
do you find that you write in a way relatively the same for both sort of aspects? And then the second brief thing is the idea of that, do you find that all of the characters in our comic have traumatic backstories, right? Because that's honestly
Mm-hmm.
one of the easier ways to have a call to action. However, I would find that in my personal experience of me playing D&D, TTRPG characters, making characters, I find that they don't um I don't give them traumatic backstories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of me just being like, they want adventure for adventure or for changing up their boring life or something like that. However, obviously, you not necessarily have tragic, but definitely have more of like a call to action, like negative side of things than being just like, we want
Mm.
adventure. So, sort of how do you feel about that? I will be right back. Make sure you look at
Alrighty.
chat.
So to answer the first question, if writing them is any different, I gotta be honest. The answer is half yes, half no. And what the hell do I mean by that? Well, I would say writing the backstory is the same, although there are some different nuances. When you're the writer of a story, when you're in charge of the project from beginning to end, you know how things are going to play out. You know how this character is going to find a resolution and how they're going to grow from that, right? So, excuse me. It's a lot more, hey, Cinder. Welcome, welcome. Um, what was I saying? So when you're writing for a story you're in charge of, I would say it's more concrete because you know what happens in the beginning, you know what's going to happen in the middle to get them to that resolution in the end. You are very much in control. And while that's still true for D&D, you have to remember that D&D, at least from my perspective, from what I have experienced, is that it's a collaboration between you, the other players, and the DM. I think I even said it when I explained my backstory, the whole part about the fire element. I knew Miss Molly had died somehow and had a previous life, but I didn't know how her death came about. And I was toying around with a lot of ideas. Sickness, um, maybe terminally ill, maybe a freak accident, something, anything. But what helped me narrow it down was our DM Dylan created this whole deal with the devil scene. And by making the contract about the fire condition, that started getting me thinking along the lines of, what if we work that in somehow? Because this guy, from how he presents himself, he's seen all the past lives. He's been around, like he's seen eons and eons. So that kind of irony makes sense in that kind of situation. Like, you were killed by fire, and now you're making a deal that you won't set yourself on fire. Narratively, it's very satisfying. But would I have made Miss Molly's backstory that she died in a fire
I'm back.
without that suggestion? Maybe, but definitely not for the same reason. So that is where I would say it differs, is that you have that influence, right, of the other players, of the DM kind of guiding you. And I think it also comes down to what type of player you are. Like, I am a little more concrete than Ori. I do have a bit more of an idea going, but it's still open to suggestion. Um, Gilith originally had like a rising from the ashes type vibe. Like, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna prove myself. Um, and then it started being later mentioned where everyone was talking about their hometowns. I was like, oh, I need to think of a hometown for Gilith. And that's what got me thinking on that path. Without that, I don't know if I would have come up with that, or maybe I would have come up with an entirely different backstory altogether. So it's very much, at least for me, and maybe you guys have a different experience, it's very much driven by, or maybe not driven, guided by the other players and DM in that case. And then, Ori, you're back. Your second question,
Mm-hmm.
remind me again, because I went on a tangent there.
Uh,
Wait, how
as
did you
far
get
as
from college?
writing,
college from jail? What? I
Yeah.
missed something.
Yeah, Jamie's telling the story about their campaign right now. Um Crap. What was my second question? First one was writing the same, and the second one, oh, with traumatic, right? So like
Ah, yes.
that's trauma is a very easy call to action if you think about it, right?
Mm.
Something that makes being where you are not worth it anymore, right? So
Oh,
bad
no.
that you want to leave. Right?
I
Or
agree.
your
There's a
parents
reason
die,
every
or
anime kills the protagonist's mom within the first
exactly.
episode.
However,
Yeah, it totally
I
is.
find that when I write TTRPG's characters, they either have zero backstory, so it doesn't matter, or it's not traumatic at all. It's more of their life is boring, this was a way to make money, or, just something new, or etc. Maybe
Well,
underappreciated,
I
or like
I
small
think
town,
you
but not necessarily traumatic.
I think you run into an interesting difference, depending on which backstory. When you have a tragic backstory, that's usually an external influence that's affecting the protagonist, right? That's either the parent dying, or the town being destroyed, or the villain coming in and uprooting everything they've ever known. That's an external force opposing the protagonist, right? Whereas with your story, so it's like it's boredom. It's it's essentially Belle's, "I want much more
Monotony.
than this
Mm-hmm.
provincial life." Yes, exactly. That is an internal force. That is different because it's no longer the protagonist versus the outside world. It's the protagonist versus their internal world. It's versus their own um discontent with their life, which I think you can get a lot of interesting stories from. There are a whole bunch of them out there. Some stories lean toward the, hey, learn to be happy with what you have lesson, where others go, yeah, it's good to take risks or you'll never find out what's out there. There's so many directions you can go in that with. It also leads to different interpretations. Characters like that can be very cocky or very like kind of adrenaline junkies almost. That's almost my favorite. I'm trying to think of an example, but it escapes me. I know there's one out there, but for a character who's like just trying to find that rush. Oh, I got it. Megalobox, the main character Joe.
We
Yes.
got there. We got back
I
around.
knew
It was
I
coming. It
knew
was
there was
happening.
one. Okay. So yeah, the main conflict in Megalobox is Joe, the main character, wants to fight in this tournament. And while at first, so Megalobox is such an interesting case. It's both external and internal conflict. Because while, yes, the champion comes into Joe's area and challenges him, it is set up in the first episode that Joe is an adrenaline junkie. He's trying to find that rush. He's trying to feel that excitement again, that passion for boxing, because what he's doing is throwing fights that he knows he can win. He's losing to people beneath him, and that drives him crazy. So you see when he meets the champion and they're teasing, oh, maybe they'll fight before they drop it. There's a moment where they show, like, it's so brilliant. Please watch Megalobox if you haven't. It's so brilliant. There's a moment where they show he's feeling that adrenaline rush. Suddenly the world slows down around him. He's reminded of that moment he almost like uh okay, I'm going way too deep into this for a simple explanation, but they connect it back to a moment where he felt that adrenaline rush earlier in the episode. And that is what he's seeking. He is an adrenaline junkie. And it does hurt him a little bit throughout the story. You see him get cocky. You see at some points it's like, hey, you're not fighting underlings anymore. You're in the big leagues. So a brash comment and some quick moves aren't going to be enough anymore. And he learns that and he adapts to it. So that
No wonder you like
real
Soma. Hmm?
yes, of course. See, Soma, I wouldn't say. Yeah, no, there's no tragedy with Soma. We're talking about Food Wars now. So his is interesting because I would argue it's another version of external forces meets internal forces, because the external force, his dad forces him to go to this cooking school. Okay, so that's an incentive to push the plot forward, but the internal conflict is he's trying to be better than he is, and he's always trying to better himself. He knows there's stuff out there he doesn't know. He thought he was going into some run of the mill, like, this is a library class type cooking school. No. This is the big leagues, and he's with the best of the best now. So now he has to be the best of the best, and he recognizes that. And I mean, Ori, you've watched the show. Soma is very cocky, but he does learn. Like, he's willing to learn. So I think you can get so many interesting character arcs out of they're just bored with their life, to make a very long tangent brief. While tragedy does seem to be the go-to, it's not the default, or it doesn't have to be. There's so many options. Even if you have a content character, you can still find a way to make it interesting. So don't think you always have to kill someone or make their life a living hell. Like, you can still get some really compelling stories.
All right, let's everybody
also watch Megalobox if you haven't.
Everybody, we're gonna audit ourselves. All right. And now people like PCM are gonna get called out here, but this is part of it, because Mars might get called out here too. Okay.
Oh no! I didn't sign up for this.
Yep. You
What are you doing, Ori?
All right, we're auditing. Pick like out of, think of all like your specific characters, right? Like the player characters that you've had, specifically for TTRPGs. I don't care what TTRPG it is, but specifically, yeah, just all of your characters that you feel are like, fully fleshed out characters.
Wait, what?
Now, out of all of those,
I didn't say that in response to what Ori's saying. I'm saying it to something happening on my computer.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that, guy.
I'm like, I feel like I'm being specific, but I could try and say it different.
No. You're good.
Now,
I'm just very
out of all of those characters, what is the percentage of trauma being the cause of their, tragedy being the cause of their call to action, right? The reason that they're now an adventurer on whatever the campaign story is, versus, I mean, I would say literally anything else, but to me, the main other one is like being bored, right? Ori, in some sort of way.
It's so funny that you say this. Alar was a character who was bored with his life. My very first D&D character ever left his job because it was boring, and he decided to become a pirate instead.
I think you're at like 50-50.
That was his call to action. Okay, so let me go through the list. Alar was dissatisfied with his life. Jolie was picking up one last job before she retired. I saw her as a very content character, but it was also a one-shot.
Yeah, I wouldn't really count the one-shots that don't have, like, very specific backstories. Like, I could say Thaddeus has a very specific backstory.
Okay, but Thaddeus is... What category does that even fall into?
I wouldn't fit his either, because the call to action was breaking out of jail, right? Like, the call to action was part of the campaign. I'm talking, like... Yeah, Neffy isn't because of tragedy, PCM? Are you joking?
PC.
You got at least 2.
I would recount that, PCM. I would recount that.
Jamie.
In that case, Ori. So Alar was discontent, and Gilith went out to prove herself. She,
yep,
to simplify it, was not content with her farm life.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Molly is my only character. Well, long shot characters.
That's weird. I felt like you had one more. I don't know why.
No, we've only had 3 long shots.
None of my characters are tragic at all.
Only Miss Molly is tragic, and the only reason that came about is because she is a wishborn, and that story was just too damn enticing for me.
None of my characters are tragic. Kazoo went to be essentially a busker, didn't make enough money, and had to become a mercenary. Because that's what he could do. He was very bad at it though, and but they would pay him, and that's sort of how he became that. So, kind of not necessarily bored, but like unable to not do something that caused adventure, right? Asen, again, not bored. His but I wouldn't really call it tragedy either. His god essentially told him that if he didn't help people, that he would go to hell, essentially, and he would be tortured forever in the afterlife. So, well, he wasn't.
Well, that sounds tragic.
It was more just like, see, I wouldn't call it tragic because it was more just like either you get off your ass and you do things, or you sit on your ass, and when you die after like your whatever normal length of life, you're going to hell, right? Like I wouldn't say that that's like a tragedy that caused him to like do anything. It was just like it's like if you're Christian, right? And so you believe in like acts of service and everything is like something that you're supposed to do, or is that Catholicism? Whatever them, right? I think it's Catholicism.
Either or.
And and then it's like if you didn't do it and you felt guilt, right? Like I wouldn't call that tragic. I would call that you have guilt. Like it's not like somebody came to his village and then the god came, and like killed everybody. It was like if you were lax and didn't do anything, it's just more like you're gonna worship me. All right, I'm real. Do shit, or you're not gonna live a happy eternal afterlife. I was like, damn, well, I guess there's not really much of a question, but I'm not gonna like it. But then how did she get there, PCM? She left her home because she was kicked out due to the traumatic experiences that she had. The original thing that caused her to lead to the party was traumatic. And so that was Asen. Who came after Asen? Why am I blanking here?
Why?
Avisha wasn't tragic. Avisha was literally just a traveler and got roped into this whole deal. Again, not boring, more just like wrong place, wrong time kind of vibes. Like Corey, again, not tragic at all. Was bored, maybe underappreciated, but not in a way that they really like were concerned about. More in just like a in the hive part of the hive sort of thing, right? Like the needs of the many outweigh the few sort of vagaries, and that sort of thing. So it's like, okay, I wanna leave after I realize that I have the physical capabilities to do so with Unfollow now. So not tragic. Okay, Jamie has a ratio isn't fair. I don't. TCM, that just sounds like you're gonna make more tragic backstories. So that's you're 50%. Mars is 33%. I'm 0% tragedy. Jamie's got one rogue that has pretty traumatic stuff in the past. Backstabbing, ooh, that is traumatic.
Ooh. I would say that's traumatic, yeah.
Vilros is definitely traumatic, I would say. Being so, like, becoming, like, numb to the whole thing as well. So that's 2, Jamie. I don't know. Destroyed by a dark god. Oh my goodness.
Yeesh.
I'm not a tragedy writer. I think in my thing.
You don't like tragedy endings. You don't like tragedy beginnings.
Well, okay, I don't not like tragedy beginnings because, like, look what we've done to our boys. But I will say it would probably be much harder for me to like actually commit and write stuff like that than if nobody else helped me. Does that make sense? Like Griffin has a pretty tragic backstory. Yeah, but that was highly helped by Dylan's input, right? So versus all the characters that I've had like sole agency over, they have either they're content and they got roped into it somehow and now this is just their life, or they were bored and they needed to do something new.
Which I feel like reflects what you were going through at the time. Here's my question for you. Do you find that your characters ever reflect what you're currently thinking or what you're currently doing in your life? Or do you just kind of, no, these characters are the characters, they have no, they're not extension of me.
I would say I wouldn't think they're very much an extension of me in the sense of that same with how we talked about media the other day, is that the reason I'm doing any of these hobbies is quote unquote escapism in a way. Like I wouldn't put that full label on it to be like I have to escape my reality. Like I'm not unhappy or anything, but it's definitely like I'm not trying to be a part of reality doing this. Right? Like this is not for me to like I'm definitely not a big slice of life person in like, like shows and stuff. And I think this plays into that is the fact that like I live real life, right? If I want to be slice of life, I can be slice of life. I can't be a millionaire detective that has no desire for human life and just solves
That
crime with
has
his
shoe
boyfriend. You know, like
thrones, all
I
that good
can't do
stuff.
that, you know? So it's like, right? I can't be this master chef at this prestigious school or something, you know, like that whole thing. So I think the overarching thing, I like characters that definitely have like grounded ties, right? But it's still out of the realm of like IRL possibility, if that makes sense. So it's
Okay.
like Kazoo has growth in a very real way, you know, just like Soma has growth in a very real way. But it's like the vehicle that enables it is like
Oh,
that would never happen. You know what I'm saying?
I see. Oh boy.
So that's why Outcast I think is the way it is, because it's like, yeah, this is all really great character growth and development and like good morals and stuff, but it's like I will never be a part animal pirate hybrid thing, you know, like on an island, all those sort of stuff.
Duly noted. Oh, if only we could be.
Yeah, honestly.
Where the hell is that book?
I agree, Jamie. I would say Vilros is the least Vilros. Vilros. Ah, I'm glad you would have consulted me if you were playing a botanist now, Dorky David. I'm touched.
Aw, what an honor.
Undead trees.
Ooh,
That's fun.
I like the idea of that.
That's a fun time. Alrighty. Any
Oh, that's
questions you
fun.
want to ask Chat Mars about character things and character stuff?
Let me think.
PCM, you're more than welcome to talk about
So,
Nephi AUs and
okay,
stuff.
I'm kind of curious because this is something I admitted to, is that I definitely let the character type, I guess the race, fueled the backstory more than I did her class. To be honest, half the time I forget she's even a witch. So I'm wondering, do you guys take more inspiration from the class or the race? Or are you guys just vibing and creating whatever backstory you would like? That's totally an option too.
Me personally, which is interesting, I really liked in D&D, I used those like flaws, bonds, ideals tables from the backstory, from the backgrounds that characters had, and I enjoyed neither. Alright, PCM, neither.
Neither. So
That's true,
you're just
Jamie.
vibing
Hello,
PCM?
Vucky.
Hey, Bucky.
But I lost what I was saying. What was your question again?
My question was, which do you let
Oh,
fuel
yeah,
your
yeah, 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 yeah.
backstory?
So, yeah, I use the background a lot, I think, because that gives me like a very easy jumping off point, in my
Mm.
opinion. There's been only, I think, 2 times that I can think of that I had a character like vibe idea before I made their like
Aha!
class and race and everything. Um, and
Sorry, I found something I was looking for.
very nice. Ooh,
Ugh,
I like those trees, Storky David. They're fun.
crazy.
But
Ow.
I think definitely a lot of my inspiration does come from they're a bard. They're this kind of bard. And now this is like how that ties into stuff, right? So like Avisha having the spirits always yelling at her and being annoyed by them was because she's a spirit bard, right? Za was an eloquence bard, so being a lawyer
Mhm.
made sense. Um uh
It
Kazoo
did fit the vibe, I will say.
Kazoo technically changed what bard he was fairly early on the thing. Um but so I wouldn't say it fueled his personality necessarily, like his backstory or anything that much. But
Mhm.
he also had, like I said, a very vague backstory, and it was funny that like he once was a busker that couldn't make it as a busker and moved on. Um, well, I think the first one that like the class didn't specifically elicit the backstory would be with, well, see, that's a lie. Uh, hmm.
Wispy whiskers.
Yeah. No, I think all of them have to do mostly with class, and then I pick a background that I sort of vibe with, and then moosh them together. It almost, I don't think it ever has anything to do with like the race or that sort of stuff. Yeah. I think the one that had most to do with the race actually is Lycori in this case. It's still not their whole thing, but I think it has the most with it. Hello, Wispy
Mhm.
Whiskers. I'm sorry I missed you. I heard Mars say it, but I thought she was talking to her cat, if I'm being honest.
No.
I'm not joking. Uh
Okay, Ori. When have I ever referred to my cat, any of my cats, in the entire time you have known me, as Wispy
Never,
Whiskers?
but I do have to say, I don't hear you refer to your cats particularly often. Like you talk about them, but I wouldn't say like, it's like, you know, it's like, yeah, I call like, when I talk about my dog, it's like, oh, my
So,
dog or Riley and stuff, but you
so
wouldn't
you
hear me
thought
call
I
her like Houdini
personally
dog.
welcomed Misty into chat?
I more thought you like welcomed her into your bed or something. Like, oh, hello, there you are. Pop it up under the covers or
Oh,
something.
Wispy Whiskers, welcome to chat. Chat is code for bed.
I missed the chat part. I tuned it out
Biological
apparently.
calls
I
apart.
literally missed the word chat. Oh my god.
No,
Do you want to do what is goal for the character?
regardless, welcome.
Yeah, I think I mostly enjoy taking, because this was a very good example. When I first made my very first like true D&D character, Dylan had like a whole thing, and he was like, he would ask like hypotheticals, right? Dorky David, he would
Mhm.
ask like hypotheticals, like what would your character do in this scenario, and it was more of like a role play device, right, to kind of get the character's personality down. And I think that honestly like shaped how I approach RPGs from there on out. And it is like question we had asked was what is the biggest part that like fuels your character building, Jamie? I think you said class earlier. Mars just wasn't here. Um, but I was thinking about this. I just remember this now. Yeah, Dylan asked me like hypotheticals, and it was more to be like a what alignment you were, but it did give me like character vibe, and so that's why I think I like shoving the character headfirst into the game. right, and then seeing what the character does. And I got lucky with Lycoria. It actually lines up with one of the things that Pathfinder says about a naughty. I'll bring it up here. It says, oops. I don't want red root, thank you. It says, a naughty may openly express sympathy for misrepresented and unfairly stigmatized cultures, because they were as well in their lore, being spiders, and that's why they have this form that's like a humanoid form, so that to like put people at ease and everything. And that's what happens with Sylvia already. Like, that was just luck. Like, I didn't plan that, right, as like a
Yeah,
this is what it says.
that
It was just
really
a
did
this
fall
is
into
how I
place,
want to
didn't
play
it?
this character. Yeah. Fuel is everywhere. A central idea. See, I'm bad at the central idea. I gotta say, I I have only had,
Define central idea.
to me that would be, so my example is if I've only had two characters that I can sit here and be like, I had an idea and then I made a character, right? Like I made everything else fit. And that was um there was a bard that I wanted to play. It was a valor bard, and he was a like an old hero that was classically like frozen in stone for a time when the world, and you know, will be released when the world needs him again. But he's of course freaking super rusty and only remembers like thousands and thousands of years ago, so he's not like hip with the times, right? Like everything has changed. So he's like, that's why he's like whatever low level he is and not like incredibly legendary or something like that. And that was sort of
Oh.
how that like that was the central idea. The only other one I had was I never actually got to play that character. We moved to Pathfinder, and I learned that Summoner exists, and I love Summoner. It's not
It
like I
worked out
can't do
very
that
well.
later, but that's a different thing. And the other character was a silver spoon character. So born of like a family that is technically in line for the throne, but very, very far down in line for the throne, right? Like would probably never be in the throne. But so he was treated very well. Like he couldn't do things for himself. He's very educated, and eventually he like leaves very Jasmine, like I want to see the world, whatever. But he's more like a, he wants to observe than he wants to participate. So I had this idea that stuck with me. The idea was having a moment where he's speaking fluently in one of the languages, right? He knows a lot of languages. Speaking fluently in a language, and then someone coming up to him and talking in that language, and he going, I don't speak language. And they're like, what? You were just speaking it now. And he's like, I only know how to say that, and this sentence explaining I know how to say that, and move along and just like dip out. And that was like the vibe that I wanted, and that's where I got
Oh
to.
my god.
But out of all the other characters that I've had, which is a vast majority more than those two, I think it's one, two, like 8 max total, 6 or 8. Only 2 of them are like idea first, that had like any sort of fleshed out backstory like that. So I'm definitely a class personality, like me playing the character, and then maybe backstory if it's applicable.
Interesting.
Simple context. I think the fuel is everywhere. Dorky, Jamie was directed at you. And look at him now. Yeah, see, that's a good vibe. See, I definitely don't have a lot of those. So it's more just like an idea. It looks like Mars. So it's like that idea where it's just like I said, my idea was the I don't speak language. You were just speaking language. I only know how to say that, and this sentence explaining, explaining, and that was my vibe. PCM's
I
was a warlock argues with his patron like an old married couple, and that got Polaroid and Andromeda. Person scared of their own abilities got Neffy. So like, I think that's the centralized idea. So at
okay.
most, I definitely think Molly had one in the sense of wanted to be a chef. Was pretty centralized idea.
I would say that was definitely a central idea because that was the whole reason for that existing. Because without the chef idea, I wouldn't have the restaurant idea. If I didn't have the restaurant idea, I wouldn't have anything.
Yeah, so I think that's what everybody's talking about with central idea. Yeah, Wispy Whiskers explains they had a fighter that the core idea was fear of loss, command, and authority. And so then kind of moving on there.
I see, I see.
Oh, interesting, Jamie.
Hmm. Oh.
I'm like only half drawing because vibe. My brain.
That is such a vibe.
It's distracting, you know? Life is distracting. Yes, always speaking of your characters, PCM, please.
Yes, do tell. Sorry I'm not talking as much, guys. I've been neglecting my dinner.
Whatever you'd like
in
to.
all my explanation.
Not talking too much. You've certainly talked. No worries, no fears. Oh, you guys want to chat sneak peek too?
Ooh.
We can have a chat sneak peek. Y'all are the first. This is what you get for being in here.
Okay.
I gotta find it.
So, completely off topic, but I'm curious to see what people think. For my job, I have to be fingerprinted. And this costs money.
Yeah.
How much do you guys think the total is? Or if you know, you're not allowed to answer.
I don't actually know.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay, so you're allowed to guess then.
Ooh, yeah, do that, PCM. You can do that one. Talk about Dreadclaw.
Yeah.
I see, Jamie. Yeah, that is a lot of world building. I'm not, even with our big campaign, honestly, I didn't do that much world building.
I mean, Jamie, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
But that ain't a number value.
I'm gonna go with 50.
All right, we have one for 50. Anyone else?
Here is your sneak peek, guys. This is the Catling gun wand.
Oh, my lord!
And I made, see these paw prints? I made a brush to make these paw prints. I made a brush.
I love it.
51, Jamie. I see. Trying to prices right me here.
Trying to one up her. I see.
But yeah,
anyone else?
How cool and not lame he is. All right, I'll trust.
All right.
But yeah,
I'll wrap this up.
I picked specific cat patterning for all the paws and the cat. Like I looked at cats, so they better be accurate.
And you didn't ask me for references?
No, I just asked the internet for references.
All right. Well, I won't leave you all in suspense. So, on The Price is Right, we have Ori with 50 and Jamie with 51. You want to know how much it is?
How much is it?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
You really, really want to know?
I guess I do. I
$102.
I was gonna say 100, and then I was like, "Oh, that's way too much."
Why didn't you?
Because I was like, I felt that was too much. Technically, Jamie won. It was closer than me.
He did technically. Congratulations, Jamie. Yeah, I've just accepted that.
Yeah, Dylan has to get fingerprinted too eventually.
So much to pay for this semester. Well, Jamie, I couldn't just give you the answer. Then what's the point of guessing?
That is true, Jamie. If I said 100, Jamie would have said 101 and gotten it right still. How dare
That's
you
true. And would have
upset.
been very close as
I would
well.
have been actually upset about that one, Jamie. That one I would have hurt hurt inside.
How
Oh my
could
god.
this happen to
Poor
me?
poor Dreadclaw. Not smart boy. Okay. Lore goes deep. Dang.
Ooh.
All right.
I like it when lore goes deep. It gives you more to think about. It also makes you think about how your own character interacts with that lore. Okay, here's a question for you, Ori. Do you ever find your characters being influenced by the lore that's being created? Like, have you ever, because I know you don't have a strict backstory going in, do you find yourself more open to that? Like, if someone were to say, this world is very, I don't know, maritime oriented, would you suddenly be like, okay, that's a vibe? Yeah, maybe my character grew up near a fishing town or something like that, just as a very easy example.
So probably
Do
what
you
I
ever
would
find yourself
do.
being influenced by the lore?
So I would say yes, but I would say yes in a very specific way, in the sense in that even with the backstory that I wrote for Lycori, it is incredibly open ended, right?
Hmm.
It is very vague, but that's kind of to the point because exactly what you say, right? I don't want to be nailed down. I like the idea of improving a backstory to a certain extent, where it's like none of the players know the backstory, right? Like none of the characters do. I don't know Casimir or Aloria, or like we're learning about them as we go. Like just recently Aloria was like, I came from a place like all of my brethren have been torn apart for scraps, right? Like we learned
Hmm.
that. That was not a known thing. So I enjoy making my backstory on the fly like that, right? So in sort of like if I had to justify my action for some reason, right? Because a character is like, why did you do that? Then it's like, okay, here's why, and now that's why, right? So so
I
so it's very much like, okay, yeah, we're on a boat with a couple of wackos, shaking my hips and dipping my fat toe, and it was like, okay, I make a check to like tie a knot or something, and I do like super well, and people are like, oh, like how do you know how to tie knots? Now I'm gonna say how I know how to tie knots, right? What is that?
Oh, so
That's
as
sort of
it
what I'm thinking.
becomes relevant.
Yeah. The armor, Wispy Whiskers, is called Cloudwalker armor. It's actually something that I made over a year ago now, I think. Um, Maybe approaching two slowly. Definitely at least a year. That I wanted to redraw because I just reposted the second set of armor, which is Tidal Walk armor. Tidal Stride armor, something like Tide Master armor. I forget the exact name. And I actually have two more sets that we have like stats for, but I've never drawn. And I just felt like this one deserved an update because I've improved and everything like that. But it is an armor set, so it actually has different pieces. It has the Curious, the Pauldrons, the Greaves, and the Bracers, and they're actually separate. Audio's staying up way too far, way too late.
They'll be
Oh
fine.
goodness. I can't even imagine having a 6 month hiatus, PCM. Mars and I are very lucky. I think Dylan would implode.
Dylan almost imploded when I was away at my grandma's this past
I'm not gonna
weekend.
lie to you, Mars. I'm not gonna lie.
Imagine 6 months.
Don't fault Dylan for this, but I'm not gonna lie. The amount of like just kill your grandmother jokes that he did, he was so upset. He was
Damn!
so upset. He was so upset.
Dylan, forgive
He's
me!
so upset.
Okay, I understand that it was like we had something super interesting and super exciting happen last session that we just all wanted to continue from there. If I
I
could
see,
have made
Jamie.
it work like a Friday night or a Sunday night, trust me, I would have.
No, I know that you would have, and in the future, as we talked about, it would replace Ace Attorney if that's the only way to play it, right? Um,
Yeah,
I, I,
sacrifices
I
must
gotta say,
be
the
made.
reason I asked you that is because Dylan was very upset with me that I chose Ace Attorney over playing D&D. And I was like,
Really?
it wasn't just me. Like Mars
Okay.
was like not even offering.
I I was about to say, did I at least win some points back by choosing D&D?
Oh yeah, you did. You did.
Woo!
Yeah. No, we had like a whole like discussion over it about like how it like makes his week or something, and it's like I was like
Oh,
you, where it's like I can't choose between my two children, right? Like I like
yeah.
them both a lot. He's like D&D is way more fun for me, and I was like, okay, well I don't want to like just do it, whatever. But I was like, I'm not gonna be a dictator, you know. Mars is part of this
Yeah.
too. We'll ask her. We have one vote for, one vote against, and you know we'll see what she says.
Well, that would have
Should we
been one
be
of those
letting that
things
man
like
become a
I feel like
lawyer?
I feel like if I offered that, if I said, "Hey, want to give up Ace Attorney to playing DD?" I feel like I would have been walking on your toes because I'm like, who am
I
I to be suggesting that?
I would have definitely been sad. I would have definitely been sad. Especially because it
Yeah,
was like we literally beat the game last time, you know? Like we were at the
exactly.
end. I would say that it I would be a lot more hesitant, you know, for this specific one because it's like we literally just beat the game on that
Yeah.
last one. So it's kind of extra bad timing. But I was like, you know, he's like, it was more just he was frustrated, you know, that it was
Mm,
gonna be like we just moved it to Sunday night streams, and you know, and then this happened and everything, and it was
it's
like our
it's
spare D
growing.
and D night was like screwed up by stream, and it's like Dylan, I would have loved to have Ace Attorney any other fucking night of the week. I really would have. I don't like. I really would have. I didn't want it to be on Sunday, but that's just how it is, you know? Your only other option is Friday, and I know you don't want that, so it's like, I can't do anything.
Fridays are your days,
Yeah,
so that's not gonna work.
exactly. You know, and he was like, no, and I was like, yeah, see, but
No, no way to win. No
hopefully
way to
it'll
win.
all die down on the amount of nights that people can't do, and he will be okay.
Oh, most definitely. I have a
Sailing
feeling like
across.
now things are gonna be
I hope so.
manageable. He shan't have to have a night like that anytime soon again.
That's how it is, Jamie. I love sailing campaigns, PCM, so I'm sad that ours got cut short. But yeah.
Sailing campaigns offer a whole bunch of different mechanics,
I would
which
love.
was very interesting to have as a first time player.
I would love. Well, so I don't know if you know.
Although I
Uh,
don't think there were too many like specific mechanics
no, and the
involved.
reason for that is because D&D has like none. Like 5e has like
Mm.
none, like no rules, like very minimal rules. I'd be curious to do boat stuff in Pathfinder if I'm being honest, because I'm curious about how that works.
I would too. That sounds so interesting.
That's hilarious, Jamie. All over the place. I
All the
thought
best
that
things
said
are.
shipping Ryokin over quickly, and I was like, why are we shipping him somewhere in a box? Like, shouldn't he just be going there?
God.
But I have read it correctly now, PCM.
Ori, is Midnight Brain kicking in? Hmm?
Yes, it is. Mark your bingo cards.
I felt bad that no one got bingo last week, so I'm trying to help you out.
I feel like everybody's just forgetting and vibing. You know, such is life.
Such is life sometimes, but yeah, I still want to help you guys out.
Mhm.
Okay, today's the 24th.
No subclass. I subclass is so important to me, Jamie. I can't believe that you're like always like I don't know which subclass. I think it's funny. I'm gonna rag on this player all the time because I think it's funny, but I don't actually
Ooh.
hate it at all. But I'm always gonna rag on him for it. He made essentially the same character twice, just with different backstory. And it's very funny to me where it's like I don't know what he just likes Simic Hybrid, he just likes like Divination Wizard and everything like that, but it's very funny to me that it was like I want to play every single bard subclass before I like double up, right? Or it's like I want to do everything else, and so it's like very funny. Spells, Jamie? Oh my god, I read over that part. Whew. Damn.
Oh,
Ooh.
I
I
think I
like
just
min-maxed
realized something
characters.
very important, actually.
Oh no. Or oh yes? I don't know.
No, it's an oh yes. It actually makes
Oh.
my life a ton easier.
Ah, amazing.
Today's a paperwork night for me, guys. I I have a class called clinical observations, and while it does focus on observations and stuff, it should really be clinical observations and paperwork the class.
Oh
There is like literally first day they gave us so much paperwork
my
that
goodness.
has to be filled out, completed, responded to, submitted, uploaded, faxed, emailed, you name it.
Oh my god, PCM. Yeah, blame it on him, you know?
Oh my god. No. Wait. Okay, that reminds me, Ori. Wooden ship.
Yes! Oh my god, that happened to us too, PCM. Someone, quote unquote, not the player that makes the same character twice. No, not them. wanted to cast
So totally
Fireball.
not them.
Wanted to cast Fireball on our ship campaign, and we were constantly like, what are you thinking? Don't freaking cast Fireball on the wooden ship. And it was constantly us saying that wooden ship. Don't
It
cast it.
always came back.
It came
It
back again and
always
again and
came
again.
back.
Ah, Bladesinger OP.
Mm,
You
I
got some
love
hella
Blade
damage in
Singer.
there.
Blade Singer is just so fun.
It's also a really like good class, like
Yeah.
subclass choice.
Honestly, I don't think I used Thaddeus
Oh,
properly.
PCM.
I think I
Nah, but yours.
squandered his abilities.
I would say more. I feel like the first character that you like really got into like understanding how play works is with the Fearball. Why can't I remember her name? Gillis.
Gillis.
I feel like by the end of that, you were finally in like a I think I understand how this works. And so
Oh yeah.
now with Miss Molly, like it's definitely like, wow, Marza's no longer a rookie. Like she can actually like do it, and we don't have to just constantly be like, okay, yeah, you could do this.
Guys, I
You
graduated.
graduated. Woo!
Woo!
Oh, okay, Jamie. Well, I guess that'll do it. But mathematically, really, really, really good subclass.
Can never go wrong.
Indeed.
I don't know.
Ah, yeah, that's a different problem.
Hmm. Oof.
Oh. Oh my god,
Oh.
PCM! Pain.
PCMY.
That was us with one of the Pathfinder sessions. One of like this first or second one.
That's true.
We rolled so bad. All of us. Not just one person. All of us.
Yeah, literally.
Rolled
We all
so
were
bad.
doing like, ugh. I think I barely passed. Was it one of my crafting things? I feel like it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, that was
I was
last session though, I think.
barely on the verge of getting it. I was like,
Pathfinder is
please.
very much about that like +1 or -1. It feels like a lot more. Like there's a lot like near misses, you know, and like just misses versus like super misses. If that makes any sense. Ah, the classic line. The classic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. Yes, I did have to count how many words. We don't do that very much, do we? We don't say that line.
Which line?
How do you want to do this? That's a critical role
Not
thing.
really. No.
Either we interject or the
It's
DM
more
just lets
just
it
a
go.
very ominous name. It is your turn.
Oh no. How do you want to do this is you kill it. Like you're dealing the
Mhm.
final blow. And so what happened is with Critical Role, Matt Mercer, the DM, would say instead of saying like landing the final blow because it's all very, you know, like story driven and like description, he would
Mhm.
say, "How do you want to do this?" And that's like the indication that
Oh.
you're dealing the final blow, and then the player would describe how their character deals the final blow. Now, I don't know if you've paid attention or noticed, Mars. Sometimes none of us ever like say that. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we'll ask, other times we'll just describe, and the players usually like interject. You know, so I
Yeah,
don't know if you've noticed, but it's
that's
like
definitely more
Fuel
our
King will
vibe.
definitely like interject. You know, I'll interject. Dylan will interject. You know, so that sort of thing.
Yeah, no,
Slowly,
that's
gently.
definitely more our vibe.
The Bob Ross, is that a Bob Ross? Yeah, it is. The addition of that emote was great.
That is
Oh,
Bob Ross. Yes,
um,
so good.
oh wow, dang, I've already forgotten the name. Dreadclaw PCM. Whew, boy. Yeah, that is true, Jamie. You gotta
That's
think
a
about your
lot
surroundings.
to carry. That is a
Oh
lot to
my god,
carry.
that is a lot to carry. But it seems like he's a strong boy, so I'm not super concerned.
I think it works out pretty well, you know. And he's definitely getting his workout, that's for
Oh,
sure.
but that reminded me. I was like, people wanted emotes, but like, now that we're not affiliate anymore, it's like, how could we use them? I learned that at least if you use Chrome on your PC, you can have that
Mhm.
better TV, better TTV plugin, and I can
Ooh.
make custom emotes for our channel only through that. So we
Oh,
can still have
guys,
moderate
the
Twitch
emotes
emotes.
might come back.
Yeah, and then everybody can use them. No need for subs or anything.
Oh, hell yes.
I don't think we can have the animated one. I mean, it looks like I'll always have the ones that I uploaded before. Like I'm lucky like that. I'm fancy like that.
Huh. Oh, well,
Um
look at you sitting proud and tall.
yeah. But yeah. Oh, it does? Oh, look at that. All right.
Mmm, there you go.
So that's the plan. I get 10. So we'll obviously have the 3 main ones that I have already, but I feel like we got to have a tea sipping one. It seems very important.
Oh, definitely.
Yay, hey you noof. But it sounds like a fun session,
Woo!
PCM. It's a soup sipper. Okay. Hello, audio. We heard about all of Dreadclaw's deals. Are you a player in that audio? Or are you the DM? I think I'm mixed up. What happened? DM. Okay. That's what I thought, and then I was like, wait a second. Why do I feel like that's wrong? Ooh, that's fun, Jamie. I like maps.
Mm.
I'm debating if I want this frilly to be longer.
Hmm.
And I'm also debating if I want this to fan out more like feathers.
Okay.
Because it's like the wind, right? And the other one
Mm-hmm.
that I really liked with the water had the back came down like a tail with like cloth, which I thought was really cool, and everyone really seemed to like that. And so I'm thinking of how much more feathery can I go here, you know? Because I already have like the wing feather things, but the rest was sort of going like air genasi vibes, but I think I can go more ham.
Oh, if you can go more ham, then go more ham. What's
Yes,
holding
because it's
you
noop
back?
soup. I forgot, it's noop soup.
Gesundheit.
Yeah. Sounds like a sort of a Dr. Seuss book.
It
Noop
really
and her
does.
soup.
It's a noop soup.
Suddenly there was a zoop.
And then the noop saw a soup and looked up from her soup.
Oh, that's fun, Jamie.
Mmm.
I like mazes. So I had fun. I had like a Halloween sort of like intermediate quote unquote one shot that was with like the same characters in the same world for my first ever thing I DM'd. Fruit Noop. And I words.
Words
I
are
had a
hard.
maze, and I was like, "You better draw it down," and then nobody drew it down, and then they were like, "We're lost," and I was like, should have drawn it down." Ah, it did nooped. The souped nooped, and the noop souped, and loop-de-looped. We always like things that PCM enjoys talking about. Oh, how much can you boop the noop? Do you give the noop a soup boop? Mm. You know, there's not many, like, normal oop words.
Loop?
Coop, loop, I guess dupe, but it's spelt differently.
Bloop!
Bloop.
Shloop!
Schloomp, vloomp. Give a little schloomp, a little vloomp, and, you know. Speaking about Randy. No, speaking about Randy.
Oh,
Um,
the boy.
I also know it's not D&D related, but I am gonna plug it again because more people are here. You should
We've been
go and
going.
subscribe to the comic
Hey.
now so you can get updated when it launches
Oh,
on Monday.
I thought you were about to plug Randy Cunningham.
Oh,
I
I
was
mean, that's
about to
also really
say
good.
I plugged Megalobox, so you know you can take your turn.
I love Randy. Randy's great.
Randy
No,
is
I'm
fabulous.
plugging the comic because it's about to come out in less than a week, and I really want everybody to read it, and I think everyone would like it. So please.
Yes,
But yes,
please.
give me that AU Neffy PCM.
Ah,
Happy Noop.
I like
Hoop
being
Noop.
Noop happy.
Oh,
Noop deserves to be happy.
4.5 hours, and you still were in the college. Damn. All right.
Wow.
We ended up changing our sessions used to be 3 hours, but Dylan's too obsessed, and now they're 4 hours.
Now they're 4. So make sure you didn't have any plans for the rest of the night.
Yeah, for the next morning, honestly. Oh, this is the ship. Beautiful. I think we're gonna. I don't know if I like this bit.
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
All right, this will be interesting.
Chess symbolism? I don't know enough chess to do chess symbolism. Instead, I do plant symbolism. It's already morning? Oh, if you don't mind me asking, Wispy Whiskers, where are you? We are in the East Coast America, so it is very much night.
Oh, it is incredibly night.
Oh no, not Mary.
Ah. Oh.
Aw, come on, PCM. Finland. Ooh,
Oh.
very cool.
Wait, where?
Wispy Whiskers is from Finland. Is in Finland.
Ooh.
I'm assuming from Finland as well, but in Finland at very least.
That is very, very cool.
I don't know, PCM. Somehow, like, mute the mic on stream so that nobody, like, on Discord can hear you, but stream can hear you. I don't know.
I can't type that. My computer is fighting me tonight, guys.
I feel like you say this a lot with Whiskers to just have this. I don't have this for America. I don't have one of those. But it's very beautiful. It does make me want to visit Finland if that's the intent. I won't lie. Yeah. Ooh, college AU. How cute.
Ooh. Always like a good college AU. Why?
Why not? That's the question.
Because life just hates me.
Are you just trying to
right
type?
now.
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to look up something. And either the information I was given is faulty or outdated.
Bad biscuits make the baker broke, bro.
gotta be here somewhere.
That is very true, Jamie. Mage Hand is very good for that. I don't know, from the beginning, PCM? That seems like the best place to start, usually. Ah, Adventurer High School. Very nice. Oh no, what are you doing to those animals, Jamie? I'm concerned. Jamie, I'm concerned. We were talking about traps and then you said conjure animals, and now I'm very concerned about what's happening to those animals.
Oh my.
Jamie. Oh, just scouting? Scouting's fine. Trap finding, unless you're the trap finder, not fine. Okay.
I'm just, I'm having
Trying
a
to see how to do
time.
it. Stop having time. Unless it's a good
I'm
time.
tried. All right, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna ask in class tomorrow. I ain't doing this now. I'm here to have fun. God damn it.
It wasn't Mage Hand audio. I was concerned that Jamie would send like animals from summon animals through probably trapped corridors and then kill the summoned animals. I was concerned about that.
That is
Mage
highly
Hand is
concerning.
fine. I don't have any concerns with Mage Hand. The Druid did. Okay. Still. It's okay. Just because they come back doesn't mean they can't feel pain. All this reminds me of, I'll tell this really short story. All this reminds me of the first time I was ever DMing. We had a paladin. Paladin had Conjure Steed. Decided that he wanted to make his Conjure Steed essentially Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony. So his little pink pony.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to assassinate a head monk. That was very nice. She treated them well, but they were kind of undercover and all this sort of stuff. It was a whole thing. I'm not going to get into it. The way they decided to deal with her, again, they originally didn't want to kill her. But they knew that she was like a were-tiger, so they didn't want to fight her. She was supposed to be really good. So the way that they dealt with her is they took their bag of magic beans and they put a bean in a cookie. And they put that cookie on the head of the little horse with a little note in its mouth, and they sent the horse over to the to the monk, the head monk, and she read the note and was like, "Here's a cookie for you, like very nice, like from the party or whatever." She's like, "Oh, this is so nice." She ate the cookie. Of course, when she ate the cookie, I rolled for the bean because, you know, why not? Chaos. And
Yeah, might as well.
rolled for the bean. Bean creates a campfire. So she had a campfire inside her stomach, and she burned from the inside out. So the whole time, because this was the instruction, the little horse was narrating to the paladin in his head what was happening. And the little horse, of course, had this very, very cutesy little voice. So it was, "Oh, she's eating the cookie. Oh, and burning, she's screaming, and the party was thoroughly traumatized from this experience. And by party, I mean the players at the table.
I'd just be dying. I don't think I could keep a straight face.
It's dark. They did it. Come on. What did they think was going? Friendship is violence. What did they think was going to happen? They put I think literally every option that the bean could have turned into would have killed her. Honestly, it was just burning was probably the worst way to go.
Yeah, that's just oof.
Everybody goes to the high school PCM. It's great. Oh, yeah. You name them, you get attached, Jamie, don't you? Polar edited Andromeda, too old for school. I'm not really feeling this tail feather vibe.
I'm surprised. Usually that's your go-to.
Well, I'm trying to make it where it's like armor, you know, at the same time. So it's kind of like, ooh, okay, I like this. already got it. Now, your melon spot. You don't have to keep telling me that you're running.
Oh, now you're struggling with the computer?
Yeah, we already have.
I mean,
They can be
both audio,
shipped
both sounds good.
at the freaking school. You know, I don't see what the problem is. Two characters that are totally, definitely already together can just be together in a different setting. I don't know, you know, like that's the fun of it.
It is the question, the answer
Fingers
is
for
yes.
currency.
I like the way you think, Wispy Whiskers.
The Bob Ross emote gets me every time, Wispy Whiskers. You need a quick way to grow fingers.
I mean, you gotta grow new ones if you accidentally leave them at home.
Exactly. Oh,
I think that's still one of my favorite shorts.
It's great. It's a good
It
one.
was just so random and outlandish that it was hysterical.
Ooh, okay, we'll give it like a side slit thing, maybe. I don't know. Eat the fingers. Bob Ross is your hero? That's a pretty good hero to have, Wispy Whiskers. I like Bob Ross.
Chicken fingers?
Oh, those are some good fingers, though.
Can't go wrong with some good chicken figgies.
The question I always ask myself is, how do I want to do this? But it has nothing to do with killing anything. Ah. Well then, Jamie. Yeah, you guys seem to commit lots of atrocities.
You're definitely the chaotic group.
Yeah.
Definitely chaos. Chaos reigns supreme with you guys.
It's funny, we're definitely not the chaotic group at our table.
No, the only one I think who comes kind of close to that is our current suit of bones.
I wouldn't even call him chaotic though. He talked to that devil like he was his, you know, his manager.
Yeah. No, I mean with the whole rushing in thing.
Oh, he's just Magnus.
Like, he really, and Magnus rushes in.
Yeah. No, I think the closest to chaos is Umfollow, but I keep him tamed because he knows that he would kill me if he rushes in too hard. Ooh.
Poor Umfollow.
A forest. I like the sound of that.
Oh, you just said the magic words, Jamie.
Abracadabra, Alica Woods.
Ori is interested.
Okay, I like that vibe, but not how it was executed yet. Oh!
Real fictional Jamie, Ori will still love it, Jamie.
No, it's not that it wasn't a real forest, it's that it wasn't a real forest even in the fictional. It was an eldritch, evil murder forest.
Aw, man.
And those, I gotta say, no, I don't like them.
I thought that was the best kind of forest.
Oh, no? No. No. No.
No?
No. No. Mars, no. Mars, no. Mars, no.
No? All right. No. Bad Mars, slap, I get it.
You also like that meme, apparently, from me as well.
I think it's hilarious. Just saying slap slap has a ring to it. Why the hell can't I log in?
You gotta please. Eldritch connoisseur, Wispy Whiskers.
Finally!
All of y'all
Oy.
who like Eldritch stuff should get Escape from Relay, the card game. It's very fun.
We've played that, right?
Yes, we have.
That was a good time.
Are you a poet, Wispy Whiskers? These definitely give off some vibes.
These are very I'm a poet and I know it vibes. You ever been taking so long to eat something? And by the time you actually get to it, it's like, I don't want this anymore.
No, I don't take long to eat. When I want food, I want it, and I eat it. And I'm done. No, I really much have my mother's genes, which is don't start making food until you're starving to death and then be incredibly angry and impatient while making the food so that it doesn't come out as amazing as it could because you're pissed off the whole time that you're starving to death. But then when you're not hungry, you have no desire to even think about what to make or how to cook it. So, pain. Yeah, pain. Like, I'm sorry, Mars, I planned to make rice balls today, and it didn't happen. I made the rice. It didn't come out great.
You made strawberry and cream sandwiches.
That was delicious. That was actually way better than I thought it was.
Oh, that was like the top tier stuff.
Did you like the egg roll things?
Oh, I very much like the egg roll. More than
okay.
I thought I would. Like, the first one I tried...
It was just surprising?
It was surprising, and my taste buds were like, we don't know what to think of this. But then, like, I kept eating it. I was like, okay, these are good.
I
these
love those,
really...
yeah.
That's why I asked you, what is dashi? Like, maybe I want to try this at home.
Yeah, dashi, you have to get it at, like, you can buy it on Amazon, but you have to get it in, like, Asian supermarket. You can't get it in a normal supermarket, sadly. It's like hondashi or dashi. They're good.
Gotta go multiple places to make one meal.
Yeah, indeed. It smells like fish food, but it tastes very good, so you don't need a lot.
Ooh, that sounds interesting, audio.
You've produced poetry of your own, but it wasn't yours, though? I'm not sure I follow Wispy Whiskers.
I think the previous one.
Oh, that one was not yours. I see. I see.
Original. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my interpretation of what you just said.
This is a massive prison, Jamie. Jesus.
Yeah, seriously. 200 people. What is this? A hack and slash?
Apparently. Correct.
Are you secretly playing Devil May Cry?
No. Just kill everybody.
Or it is a hack and slash. You're more family-friendly hack and slash.
Dylan and I played that. I own both of them, but I've never
Hyrule Warriors or Devil May Cry?
I don't own Devil May Cry. I own both Hyrule Warriors.
Okay, I was about to say you're way more a Hyrule Warriors person.
Yes. I bad at game. Only games I'm good at. Ace Attorney. There's only logic in there. There's no skill, and at a certain point, it is process of elimination. You know, so it's like you can't like fully fail. And then I'm good at Pokemon. I will say, I've done well at Pokemon.
Strategy games are up your alley.
Oh, welcome back, Scarecrow. Yes, we're still going.
Scarecrow. Yes, we go until usually about midnight.
About midnight. Sometimes we get on a tilt and go past that, but yeah.
Usually that's on Thursdays.
Blood Ball. Well, if Cinder was to pop in here, we might go too long. That's usually what happens.
Yeah. Oh, I see. You have the quotations around it. So this means it came from someone else, right?
I see. I will assume.
Well, does he play Blood Ball? Has he ever
fine,
participated
PCM.
Audio Chaos?
Jamie's got the story today.
Oh, don't worry, PCM. Honestly, we didn't have a story today either.
I literally had to think. I was like, oh god, there's no story. What do we do?
We were flying by the seat of our
Never
pants.
played football. I was like, Mars, can you do this? And Mars was like, yeah, I could do that. And it was like, cool, that's what we're doing.
She was literally like, Mars, can you talk about your character and how you created it and all the stuff that goes into creating a character? I was like, who do you think you're talking to? No, I didn't say that. But I was on board.
She thought it. No.
I thought it in my mind where no one can see.
We're here.
That too. I'm not wrong. You can't see my thoughts.
This is very true. I can't. He's just big. I see.
Ah.
Hell on Earth? I mean, it feels like Hell on Earth because it's just never freaking ending. Oh my god.
That is 40 floors. What the heck? Forget a dungeon. That dungeon is its own campaign.
Yeah, honestly. And apparently the DM still made like tons and tons of other areas and stuff.
I don't know whether to be impressed or horrified. I mean, the skill here. Whew.
Okay.
That's fine.
PCM,
talk about whatever you want to talk about. We certainly are. We bounced
honestly.
all over the gambit of what we can talk about tonight.
It was very structured at the beginning, but solely for the reason that it was just me and I didn't have Mars to tangent my tangent.
And then I came on and I ruined everything.
No,
sorry.
Honestly, I went through all my content. All the content was down, so you came just in the nick of time. I was school like a what's the word?
Floundering?
Thank you. Yeah, that's the word I wanted. Squawking. Okay. I don't know what I was trying to say.
Squawking? I mean, that works too, I suppose.
Oh!
Help. Wow.
Oh, half elven. I'll say it for Mars.
That. I'm so sorry.
This is one of those things where it's like, if you didn't raid me, I was going to raid you. So thank you.
Elven. There we go. I said it. Woo!
Oh, thank you, Drow. I'm trying to make it all kind of feathery. I love the feathery stuff. Thank you for the follow. Something Ninja. USMC Ninja. I have to figure that one out.
We did with Whiskers. We contracted raids. I'm okay with it.
Oh my god. That got me. That got me too hard.
I feel like that's a pun Dylan would appreciate.
It is a pun Dylan would appreciate.
You should definitely tell him about it.
I will have to. Oh, that's hilarious. My goodness. Yeah, we're working on some armor set right here.
Yeah.
It's not going to be made out of feathers. It's made out of metal, like on this one is shown. It just looks like feathers.
Gillatized, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you everyone who has hopped on. Welcome, welcome.
Puns are very welcome, Wispy Whiskers. Puns are incredibly welcome.
Puns are always welcome.
Thank you, Ninja. I hope you don't mind if I just call you Ninja, because every time I look at the front of your name, my brain shuts off, and I'm sorry. If you'd like to be called something else, let me know.
That's really cool, PCM. I like these AUs.
AUs are great. Mars and I know our way or two around an AU. Honestly, I've never done it with D&D characters, though.
We have so many AUs, guys.
Yeah, hopefully they'll be fleshed out eventually. Never too many. Never say that again. Shut up.
A Five Nights at Freddy's AU. We have a Dungeons and Dragons AU. We have a band AU. We have a college AU. We have a roommates AU. We have a demon AU.
Is the college AU not the roommates AU?
Okay, fine. I'll give you that. But that's still 5 AUs.
Oh my God. That's not enough AUs, Mars.
Yeah, maybe it's alternate Well, no, that's what an AU is
That's what an AU stands for. Alternate universes.
All right, Midnight Brain has officially kicked in.
Here it is. It hit.
No, PCM, it's literally an alternate universe. It's a separate timeline where she could have had a happy life.
She could have done
Or she
things.
is
See ya,
She is
Hans.
having a life.
Thanks for the raid.
Bye, Hans. Thank you so much.
But,
Always appreciated.
ooh, I know what I'm gonna do, I think. I'm gonna go off the side.
Well, Jamie,
like
that
this.
sounds so involved, and I'm very impressed that your DM is able to coordinate all that.
Oh my god, yeah, that's a feat, I gotta say. Whew. But, you know, they like the world building and stuff, so they sort of then decided to build a world inside the prison, so that's what I'm getting out of
Oh my
this.
god. It's the prison from Thor Ragnarok.
All I can think about it is being freaking like the towers in Maggie and the Labyrinth of Magic? Magi and the Labyrinth of Magic?
Okay, I
Like,
can
that's
see
what I'm
that.
feeling, vibes-wise. Enforcer in the Mafia, normal person in school, and a masked streamer. I remember that one, PCM, the masked streamer one. I do remember you mentioning that one. See, I don't want it to be like a skirt like that. Do I keep it this way? I think I do keep it this way. I think that's how we'll leave it
So
in the end.
is this and this may be late for me to ask. Is this something you're updating, like refining?
Yeah, so I drew this. This was that your first set of armor from Return to Sender that you got.
Yeah.
So it's over like a year old.
Oh,
So
okay.
I just reposted the water armor, which I really, really liked a lot. And I was like, I have the other two sets after this one to do as well. So I wanted to update this one and redo this one.
I see. And then she met Marin, and the rest is history.
So cute. So nice. Oh, so nice, so smooth. So
He needs some
adorable.
wholesome.
Neffy does need some wholesome. She really does. You know, so if you can't give it to her in canon, I guess give it to her in AUs. I mean, that's what we do with
Get the Mission Impossible music going, Jamie.
But that's what we do with our characters. Can't have it in canon, have it in AUs.
But we want Hotson to be happy and just vibing with Milano. AU time!
We made Avert incredibly unredeemable in one AU though, so like, whew.
Oh, we made Avert such an ass in 1AU.
I feel like it was just catharsis that we just needed him to get
really
his comeuppance to the full extent.
Because we were just like, we have all these plans for him, but we haven't written anything like comic-wise for him yet because he hasn't shown up, and we haven't really drawn him too much aside from some dream sequences. So yeah, we were like, okay, we know he's doing all these awful things, and these are why the characters are that way. And we just need to punish him somehow. Hello, AU.
And here we are. Honestly, our favorite and most fleshed out AU by a lot.
And AU. Yeah.
Yes.
It's just such a vibe. Because
it's a whole
modern.
Campaign. That's
got school stuff. And it's great.
It is great.
Ooh.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I thought we were just vibing, if I'm being honest. Alright, let me see it here.
Yeah, if you could go even harder with it, go even harder. Is there a reason, JB, or is it just for fun?
Their character is a, you know, like an accountant. Just needs to know, how, you know, just one of those things. Just wants to know. I don't know.
There's no math here, so I'll just calculate the dead bodies piling up.
Well, I guess you gotta try harder than PCM. Learn that Brooklyn accent. Do it. You can do it. I
out of character. Well, that begs the question even more, Jamie. Oh, no, wait. You mean that's a party member just doing it, not part of the story. Oh, okay. I follow. If that's what you meant.
You gotta practice. It's the practice.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh. Do you have these all on hand, Wispy Whiskers, or you just looking them up?
Are
Because
are you finding them as you
both are
go?
interesting. Both possibilities are interesting. 53. Oh my, no wonder you guys are in jail.
That could be higher.
Oh my god. The dichotomy.
Hey, you gotta have a foil.
There's a reason we keep Mars around. No, I'm joking.
From from memory. Damn.
That's impressive.
Color me impressed.
Alrighty.
I mean, we could have scarecrowed. Did you hear us?
Oh. No, because they're dichotomy games. Dichotomy, I think it's dichotomy games. And so we said
Oh.
dichotomy, and so they called, yes, games. That's the second word. I was right.
Sorry, I wasn't aware of that little tidbit, but now I am, so I will know for the future.
Very impressive, Wispy Whiskers. I had one time in school, there was like a when I was in elementary school, our school had like these like poetry contests. Literally all it was memorizing an already existing poem and performing it on stage. And I got second place one year, and I still have the journal that I know
Hey!
what it is.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
don't have the poem memorized anymore though.
Ah, man.
Like not at all. I know what poem it was, kinda. But that's about
Baby's
it.
first poetry.
It was something about falling asleep and seeing all these animals and stuff.
Mm. That's the best kind of dream.
It
Okay,
oh,
Jamie,
it
are you
called the
just
warning.
playing Minecraft?
Oh, you had those two Scarecrow? Yeah, mine was called like no, you're gonna make me look it up because I need to remember. Was it this? No. Hmm. Child's
I'm
poem.
sorry, Jamie. I am now programmed to think the warden is related to Minecraft. So
Yeah,
that is what I am envisioning.
you've been we've heard the word ombudsman too many times that now warden is just a Minecraft term. Oh, you still have the book, Scarecrow? Nice.
Ooh.
Wild animals look so tasty. Oh my god. Um,
Well, I guess in your dream you'd be getting a campfire going. Shake your head as much as you want, Jamie. I know my midnight brain is kicking in hard.
I'm really trying to find this poem. Nah, I really can't remember it. I'll have to ask my mother. Maybe she remembers.
Maybe we'll be able to find it by Thursday.
Maybe. But my favorite poet is, of course, Shel Silverstein. Gotta
Oh, such
love
a good one.
gotta love those.
That was
I have
the
his
guy who made
books.
poetry fun.
Where the Sidewalk Ends, top tier, top tier. Great
Yes, I
stuff, great
still
stuff.
have that book. I still have it in my collection. Have
Oh
not
yeah,
gotten
I
rid of
have
it.
them. I have them too.
I did lose the book jacket though.
Oof.
So that's unfortunate.
How could you?
I was 7 and I hated book jackets. I still hate book jackets
Yeah,
because
I
when you're
agree.
holding them
It sucks.
and you know,
It's
you don't
gross.
want to have a death grip on your book, but if you don't, your stupid book slides out of the book jacket.
It just feels gross. I don't know.
And I hate
I do like when they have it and it's just like nice and chill like foil though underneath like on the regular book and it's like kind of minimal. I like that a lot.
yeah. I think the Magic Treehouse books were like
Yes,
that. I
yes,
remember always taking
yes,
the book jackets off those, and there would be like the nice gold
yes.
picture right beneath,
Uh-huh.
and I'd
Just
be
the
like,
symbol.
"This."
That's it.
I
It's
literally
lovely.
rip off all the book jackets and just be like, "Yes, these
Yes.
look like fantasy books in a fantasy library. This is how I want my
Yes.
bookshelf to look."
Oh, you're like hitting me hard here with the nostalgia. Heck. Oh my gosh. My man.
It was just such a vibe.
All right. But I think we will wrap up. Yeah?
Ah,
It's midnight.
sounds good to me.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining. Sorry, Raiders, that we weren't on for a long time. The timing was just how about that? But
It was already past midnight,
it was
but
yeah.
we will be back
Yes.
very soon.
We stream again on Thursday with chat games. We're playing Jackbox games, so we hope everybody
Yes,
come joins
and I
that.
think it's the new party pack,
It is
right?
the new party pack, yes.
Yes. Also,
So
this is gonna
that's
be
very
exciting,
fun.
guys. I
Again,
hope you're able to make it.
not D&D related, but we have a comic coming out next Monday at noon. So if you want to read it, which we really hope you will, those
Yes.
are the links to essentially subscribe so you get days. Hello, Sellout Jester. I'm very sorry. We're just about wrapping up here. But happy to see you. We will be streaming again on Thursday with chat games. So yeah, I'm very sorry.
Yeah,
It's midnight here, so we need to unfortunately go to bed and do things tomorrow, which is not the life I wish to live. But these are the things.
it's unfortunate,
It, is it,
but
you could
it must.
certainly ask a quick question, sellout Jester, if you'd like. Time Dr. Freeman. Very nice. But yeah. Yep, we'll be playing chat games and then we'll be talking about the comic, which will be our last comic corner before the launch. So we're really excited for that. Any
Yes.
last minute questions, ask them now as we wrap up. We're always happy to have everybody. We hope to see everybody again on Thursday if you can make it.
Mhm. Always. Thank you again to the wonderful Raiders that joined us tonight. You are phenomenal, and we appreciate you.
I like the hunting rifle +1 Salad Jester. That would be my choice. Yeah, that would be my decision.
Mm. I'm leaning toward hunting rifle as well.
Yeah, the +1 is definitely helpful. But yeah, I definitely would do that. All right, great. Have a good night, guys. See you on Thursday.
Take care, everyone. Have a good one.